Milk is
Milking.
The Milk Carton Live with Milk Stevens featuring Kevin the Drummer Goren. All right, so that's good. Looks legit. Dope. Yeah, ready whenever you are, brother.
I'm ready.
Sweet, man. So, welcome everybody. This is Kevin the Drummer Goren. This man has been playing drums since he could hold drumsticks, pretty much, and he's been absolutely killing it. And we're gonna learn about his journey, what keeps him motivated and determined, and yeah, let's start right off with how did your lessons go today, bro?
They went good. I
Nice.
taught. I have an 8-year-old and a 16-year-old, and the 18-year-old is the funniest kid I've ever met in my entire life. He just runs around all over the place sometimes, and he'll put the while I'm trying to teach him something, he's like, "No, I'm the teacher now," and then he just imitates me. It's hilarious, and I don't stop him because I just crack up and I just kind of encourage it.
Hey,
And with the 16-year-old, it's a fun challenge. It's pretty loose right now because his basement is basically under construction right now, so he really doesn't get to play drums that much other than during our lessons. And he also plays every other instrument, and my expectations right now with him are super low, obviously, because it's since I started playing piano, if I was in your situation, that's what I'd be doing too. I wouldn't even be touching the drums. But thank you for still taking lessons with me, obviously. But no, it's cool. We're working on some Rush songs, some YYZ fills, and I did not realize.
damn, bro.
Well, it's I kind of knew that Neil Peart was amazing because everyone does, but I really
Right.
didn't dive as deep as I should have. Growing up, I should have just been yo, drum teacher, stop showing me rudiments and teach me some Rush songs now,
Right.
because you're basically gonna learn rudiments in Rush songs anyway, and that's way more fun than just reading a piece of paper.
Right.
But obviously, teaching, learning that stuff was obviously important as well. I'm not saying it's not, but yeah.
Of course. Of course. Nice, dude. So this dude that you're teaching, do you teach him any other so it's just drums, but he plays a bunch of different instruments. Do you guys collab in any way, whereas he'll show you something on piano or anything to that effect?
No, I
Or
mean
You stick strictly to you can mess around for a little bit, but I'm gonna show you how to be better at drums.
yeah, essentially that. It's right now it's all right, we're just gonna work on these crazy Neil Peart fills during
How long has he been
YYZ.
playing, dude? How is he able to play these things if he's a new drummer?
What? Well, he is a drummer. He's a multi-instrumentalist. He's probably been playing probably since he was 8 to 10.
Okay, so it's been a decade at this point.
Yeah, and he's 16 now, so yeah.
Gotcha. For a minute, I thought you were talking about the 18-year-old, but the other student is the multi-instrumentalist.
Yeah. So an 8-year-old and then a 16-year-old.
Oh, for some
Not
reason,
18.
I heard 18, and I was like, okay. So
No.
It's. I'm like, damn. So this man is running around doing crazy stuff. You're and he's an adult. It's oh wow.
I would not let that slide if he was 18. I'd
Yeah,
be
fair enough. Okay. My bad.
I'm
I
not trying to
completely
judge
misheard.
you, but you gotta chill, dog.
Yeah, right.
Homie.
Appreciate the way you live your life, but yo, yeah, right. That's amazing. Nice, dude. So, I want to introduce how pretty much I met you to the people, and it was, let's see, I think I was 16 or 17, and you were playing a Foo Fighters song. I can't remember which one, but you needed somebody
Everlong.
Everlong, that's right. You needed somebody to play guitar and bass and film it for, was it 8th grade project?
I think it was something for it was Maccabi. Do you remember Maccabi that was run by the Jewish Community Center? It was you know what the Jewish Community Center
Of course,
is, right?
yeah.
Okay. For those of you that don't,
JCC
basically-
represent.
Yeah, JCC represent. It's I would say it's like the YMCA equivalent, but for Jews. And there's community centers all across the country, and in Israel, I believe. So essentially, what the Maccabi Games is it's almost like the Jewish Olympics for kids. So it is mainly geared towards sports, and I'm assuming they like pick some of like maybe like the best players, Jewish players, and stuff and whatnot. But they also have an arts program where it's obviously not really a competition. It's just you get to be put in a room with a bunch of Jewish musicians all across the country and Israel, so I guess the world. And you pretty much have an instructor, and you put together maybe like a 3 or 4 like song set list, and you just play music and do like a performance for everyone.
So you
I
were
think
partnered
including
with
like the
people
sports.
from different JCCs as well?
Yeah, so that edition, I can't remember if it was the one for LA or Baltimore. But if it was 7th grade,
7th grade, gotcha.
7th grade going to 8th grade.
Yeah, I think I was like 17 or 16. Yeah, I can't remember. I just remember being with Snide, and he was playing guitar and I played bass.
Yeah. Either or, it was probably like part of like that addition to get in, just so like the teachers say, okay, he plays drums.
Right. Gotcha. So yeah, that is where I met Kevin, and I at the time was playing a little bit of bass, mostly guitar, and our buddy was played guitar on the track, and we did like a little film music video type deal so that Kevin could showcase his ability as a talented young drummer to the JCC Maccabi games, which that was fun, dude. I honestly don't know. I remember watching the video like maybe once back in the day, maybe twice, but I don't think I've seen it since then. It's been easily 10 years.
Yeah.
Have you watched it recently?
No, I think it's.
Hello.
Oh my god. And I think like I also music direct at this place I teach, and I think I'm like directing that song.
Fun
So it's the
stuff,
song that
dude. Full circle, bro.
full circle. The
That's
circle
awesome.
of the Foo Fighters.
Circle of fighters, man.
Yeah.
Nice. So when did you start playing drums?
When I want to say 10, like in 5th grade. Like, did you ever have, like in elementary school, they had that like pick an instrument day sort of thing? Do you remember?
I don't know if it was like, I know that in 4th and 5th grade we did do something to that effect, but it was like you had, for music class, you had to pick one of the instruments, and then for 5th grade, if you wanted to stay in it, they would stick you with that instrument going into 6th grade. Something like
Yes,
that. And I remember I
that's
picked trumpet for that.
That would have been a good time to hit one of my Migos pads, but it's not on right now.
Oh, snap. You're slacking, bro.
Hey!
We go.
No one knows what we're talking about.
We'll get to it. We'll get to it.
We'll get to it. You know what? I'll turn it on right now. Just for
Yes.
safekeeping.
Yes.
And let me just make sure it works, and then we'll get into
The Migo fan instrument bass
and that, oh,
Okay.
jeez.
percussive. I already said instrument. Yep.
Instrument.
Instrument.
Damn.
Yeah, damn.
Dang. All right. So that's what it essentially was. So in 4th grade, I played violin because it's like you had to play an instrument and they just put you in whatever. And I think violin was what they made everyone play for the most part, or it's just a random selection. And then 5th grade, you got to choose which instrument you played, and obviously that assembly happened at the end of 4th grade. And I remember that day really well somehow.
Yeah, it's impressive.
So it was set up in the cafeteria, and I obviously did the violin again. I'm like, okay, I might be set on this, but still a little bit tricky. And then obviously horn instruments are hard. So you really need to have some sort of technique down to even just play a note out of a trumpet or a clarinet. or even a flute. Like I remember I swallowed the lube from the flute because I breathed in, and apparently you're not
Oh
supposed to do that.
man.
I was like, I was like, "Ah."
Oh shit. It's like
Yeah.
fuck this instrument.
Maybe that. Yeah. And then once I got to drums, this guy just gave me sticks and he said, hit the drum. And I hit the drum and he said, you did it. Yay. And I was like, wait, yo, this, I hit it and the sound came out, unlike the horns or anything
Right,
else.
right.
And so at that point, I was just thinking, okay, this is pretty easy. I guess I'll just stick with that. And then, so I did percussion, I think, in 5th grade, and near the end of 5th grade, I think that's when I decided to do drum lessons because for some reason at that time, I felt like I needed to do something with my life at 10 for some weird reason.
That's incredible.
Because it's like all the kids are playing sports and I suck at sports. I don't play sports. I need to figure out who I am as a person at the age of 10. So I just decided to kind of just stick with drums and work hard towards that. I took lessons at this local, it was called the Reisterstown Music Center.
Yeah, I remember that for sure.
Yeah. And I had a drum lesson. This guy's name was Pat, and he looked exactly like Shia LaBeouf. So I think I took lessons with him for about maybe 5 months, maybe a year. I don't really remember. And then obviously that place shut down, and then basically I was looking for a new teacher at that point. So it was either I find a new teacher or I just stopped drumming at that point.
At that point, though, before you found the new teacher and you've only been playing for a few months, but you knew you liked the instrument, did you have your own kit at that point?
Yes.
Do
I
you
had
remember the first? Oh, okay, never mind. I was gonna say, do you remember the first kit that you got?
So no, I think it was some first act kit. Again, I had it for such a short period of time. Because I feel like the pieces were falling apart, and a neighbor of mine gave it to me. So I basically had 2 neighbors I was really tight with, and both of them were also drummers. Coincidentally, they got into it, and both of them were sick.
It's awesome how
So I
that
think
works out.
one of them gave me an extra kit that he had because I think he had 2 drum sets. And then once I feel like my actual first kit, which was a Black Pearl Vision kit.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, I got that kit after I met the next teacher, which was Matt Halpern from Periphery, who at that time wasn't in Periphery. He was in
Was it
probably
Animals
a
as
bunch
Leaders,
of
or
probably.
do you know if that was the time?
He was in it for a brief time, but I didn't really know him that well. Where I was like, "So what bands are you playing in?" I was just like a kid, like a shy kid. So, yeah, he was already teaching one of my neighbors already. So I just went and watched the lesson, and for some reason, I don't know what it was. It was almost kind of like the universe telling me something, like you just found like treasure or something. Because I just felt a very strong connection with the guy immediately, and then from there I just started doing lessons, and then I feel like what got me really hooked was just watching his career just take off, because I could tell how much work and time he put in on his own, which was already super inspiring and motivating. But it for me it took it to a whole another level once he was telling me about Periphery and he showed me music. And I was already super into metal at that point because my music taste was basically any really difficult song to play on Guitar Hero or Rock Band.
Right.
So I was super into Metallica, and after hearing Periphery, I was just thinking, man, that's like in terms of like a technical level, it put Metallica on like training wheels compared to just listening to Periphery, like what was going on with like Periphery's music at the time. So as a kid, I was like, oh my God, I want to, yeah. So at that point, I told myself, especially after listening to Periphery's first record, when I was 12 or 13.
Is that they've really been a band that long? I'm sorry, I'm a little ignorant toward how long they've been around. I know it's been like a while, but I didn't realize they've
Yeah,
been around that long. I'm looking that up right now.
yeah. Their first album came out on 4/20 of 2010.
Oh wow, you are complete. You are 100% correct.
Hmm. Little did I know that 4/20 was something else too. um,
Oh, this is the one with Icarus Lives and the
mhm,
Walk. Oh,
mhm.
Letters. Oh wow,
Yeah,
gotcha. But you've been playing. You were playing drums for like years before this, weren't you?
probably
At least a
2 or 3
few.
years prior.
Yeah, because I think when we did the Foo Fighters thing was that
2000,
I think you were
probably around
already
that
taking
time.
lessons with Halper, and I don't know if he was in
Yeah,
Pfeiffer yet.
I don't know. Again, I feel like the timeline, I just don't remember
Right. No, I feel
that
we were
well.
younger for sure. It was a minute ago. That's cool. Yeah. So I was gonna ask as well, like, how'd you want to get into drums and what inspired you? But dude, Halpern is a freaking legend, bro. Like
Oh yeah.
and I remember as well. He's given me a couple lessons back in the day, and I remember like the first time seeing him jam, I was like, so this is what this instrument looks like when you're fucking crazy at it. It's like, damn. Like I know a couple people that were really good, but Halpern's technical like proficiencies are like he's next level. It's like, damn. I think I was like 16 or 17 at the time. Just I remember thinking like, dude, this is like how yeah,
Yeah.
it's like I
Yeah.
want to be able to think through all of the things he's doing and understand. It's like yes, incredible, absolutely
Yeah.
incredible.
And obviously, with each of our musical upbringings, I feel like, I don't know about you, but my family is not really a musical family at all. So, in terms of, so music wasn't really passed on. It was more just kind of, they just put it like more background. So I had to kind of do all the discovery on my own. Um,
You're
but
saying regarding the genres to get you to like your music style that you like.
yeah, and just being very, not knowing so much at the time. So obviously, like if like I know a lot of friends of mine that grew up whose parents brought them on with jazz and classical, so they were already getting that
Hmm.
extreme exposure of all sorts of like crazy styles of music that from I guess a technical level was already up there and crazy, but I had to figure that out on my own for a little bit.
Right.
Um, so yeah.
Yeah, I was in kind of a different, like a little different of a boat, even though similar. Like as you know, with my older brother and the music that he was into, obviously rubbed off on me super heavy. So then I was into that kind of stuff. In addition to one of my very close friends growing up, who was also my neighbor, showed me like Mars Volta, Fall of Troy, Grizzly
Yeah.
Bear, and like that, Mars Volta, Fall of Troy, like those bands still I listen to fucking often,
Oh
like
yeah,
of
dude, you're the one that showed me the Mars Volta in
they're
high
so
school.
good, bro.
Hmm.
Holy, yeah, Omar Rodriguez Lopez, man, he is a machine. The guitar player and like one of the main songwriters
Hmm.
with Cedric. Holy, absolute machine. Um, but yeah, with growing up, my parents were into Michael Jackson, Earth, Wind, and Fire, like
That's
Bee Gees,
awesome.
all this shit. So I was good. Like my mom also like Sheryl Crow and a couple of Sarah
Hmm.
McLachlan, and like so I had a wide range of genres that I
That's
grew
good.
up listening to and I love playing. And as some of you in the chat may know, and Kevin, as I'm sure you know, like I grew up with like piano, guitar, and bass, and then got into drums. So my perception of music was way more light until pretty much I started listening to like Mars Volta, Every Time I Die, Fall of Joy, and all this.
Hmm.
And it was like, wow, I fucking love metal. Like I love fast paced, intense, like
Hmm.
that shreddy type, like aggressive, high energy, and it just stuck with me so heavily. And then especially playing it on drums, dude, it's like so inspiring to just feel that energy and rhythm. And
Hmm.
yeah, and to the like I didn't really learn I didn't teach myself those genres by any means. It was definitely like thrown at me, but I fully understand that just passion toward hearing that genre of music and being like, wow, I fucking love this.
Hmm. And for me, you could just tell how many hours these guys put in as a band, just perfecting
So
what they
cohesive.
do.
Exactly. And
Um,
even thinking about bands like Snarky Puppy, it's like,
mhm.
sure, they're reading music, but their synergy, bro, is crazy. Like,
Oh yeah,
it's phenomenal. That's
yeah.
interesting that you sought out, like metal music, like as a kid, pretty much. So you're finding these bands pretty much with you or your friends or whoever. That's like
Mhm.
interesting that like, you pushed into that more aggressive style, especially being a more relaxed and shy kid.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely never. It, I feel like looked that way. Like I wasn't. I didn't like culturally ingrain myself, like paint my nails black or any of
Right,
that.
right.
But even like the culture of Periphery, it was just nerd. Like even to this day, you go to a concert of theirs, and it's just people that look like me that are just dorky, like chill musicians. They're not like I. I feel like maybe some of them also grew up with like the angsty stuff of maybe emo music or like metalcore and stuff like that. Um, but I didn't really get super into that subgenre of music. I was just kind of like that prog, like modern day prog nerd.
And you're saying
Um,
like that genre more of like the genty like metalcore you're saying?
yeah, for sure.
That's fun, man.
Hmm. Yeah.
Fuck yeah, dude. Migo.
Bing, bing, bing.
That's so good. That's so good. For those of you just joining, Kevin the drummer Goren has a Migos pad right next to him.
Here, I don't know
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
can.
mess around with this for a minute, dude. This shit is so fresh.
I y- it says Migos right there. I don't know if how well
We
you can
can't
see
see
it.
that, nah, but we
Okay.
can see that is a red with knobs in the front and then six pads.
Yeah, and you can basically.
Bigo!
That's exactly. I need an air horn too.
That's the move, man. The next one has to be the air horn.
Hmm. Oh,
So
I had way worse ones too early on.
in the pad you're saying before you switch to that?
Yeah, I had a black pad, but it broke, and also with that pad, I think only held 2 gigs of storage, which isn't a lot,
Nah, yeah.
and the red one holds 16. So.
Ah, COVID. No, I'm just fucking with you. Ah! Nice. Yeah, dude. It's always nice to like up the gear and especially when you know it so well, just it creates such a great synergy with the kit and
Mhm.
like the symbols you have as well. I want to get into your kit and why you chose that a little later, but I am curious, do you remember the first people that you played music with?
Um,
Not necessarily like jazz band, but like friends or something that let's say play guitar or bass and you play drums with.
I would say you and Jordan early on.
Oh wow.
Um, I did do, I think, my very, very first concert. Again, I think it was with the Jewish Community Program. And it was a completely separate thing. This was just a quick 1 day music jazz workshop show, and this really sick jazz drummer. I wish I could remember his name. Um, I didn't, but it was cool. Like I was exposed to like a tiny bit of jazz super early on. Um, and he kind of just showed me the basic jazz beat, and I just played along with the group and did like a 2 song show at the end of the night. Um,
And
I
by a
think that was
basic
my
jazz beat, you just mean like like that kind of deal.
like.
Yeah, exactly. Let me go. Dang, dang. Yeah, exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. And you used that pad. Damn, damn, damn. Let me go. Damn, damn.
exactly.
Like,
Migos?
damn, this dude is talented, bro. Shit. I don't even know who Migos are.
Migos were probably kids back then,
For sure. They're probably.
up and coming,
There's no
grinding.
way they're that old right now. They're like probably young 30s or something.
Yeah,
There's no way.
so they're probably our age or younger.
What a crazy thing to
Pre-drip.
think about. Pre-drip, right? Holy. Damn, that's cool, man. I guess yeah, I remember jamming with you once and then playing Everlong with you, and we did one session of that.
Mhm.
But yeah, that was fun, dude. And as well, back in the day when I was playing more guitar but veering into drums, I remember we chilled like a few times to jam.
Mhm.
That was fun with Snyder as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
man. Back in the day. Holy.
Guacamole.
So you were in jazz bands though, right? Were you in marching band or anything, or it was just jazz band?
So in high school, and you can account for this because it was Franklin High School. So there was kind of a marching band, but not really. It wasn't like crazy intense stuff. It was just pep
Yeah, like
rally
not super
music.
competitive. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. What was funny though was the one year we did enter a competition, we got a trophy, and it was a running joke between all the kids and the music teacher, Mr. Frazier, who is the best. He's
The man.
hilarious.
Yeah, yeah.
The
I
goat.
can attest. The goat. For
Yeah.
show. For show. He's a man.
We would always joke about that because we got in sixth place. So we would brag and say, "Yeah, we entered this competition. We got top 10." Like that sounds
Yeah.
legit.
Right.
But we were in sixth place out of 6 competitors, but we just didn't.
Top
We
10
kept just
works
saying,
either
top
way.
10, baby.
Right? I mean, it's like the same thing as like let's say, you're like in a band that wants to play a festival and it's like you could play Electric Forest, but like if it's your first festival show, you might be in a side stage, like at 11 to noon, so play or 11 to 11 and it's like, yeah, we played Electric Forest. It's like it's that kind of deal. It's like you still
Yeah,
did
yeah.
it though. You still did it. You deserve that credit, bro.
Yeah, you can still tell your Tinder date that.
Yeah, exactly. For sure. Oh man, that's amazing. So at that time then, because I know right now you play drums, or at least for years at this point, especially with your content, which I'll get into as well a little later, but you've been playing drums, you practice all the time. Like, at which point in your drum career did you start, either in the beginning or a couple years after you started playing, did you actually envelop your free time and you're like, I want to be a drummer. I am Kevin the drummer Goren.
I would say after I listened to that Periphery record and had sort of that spark, um, but I feel like with most middle schoolers, I was still playing a lot of Call of Duty and stuff with the boys.
The boys.
With the boys, um, I feel like with these, actually no, well, I feel like all the kids are playing games and probably getting exposed to foul language, but I feel like our culture has been a little bit more politically correct. So I don't know. I feel like those days help you become a man.
In playing
With all
Call of
those,
Duty, you're saying?
oh yeah, with all those insults that people would say about you and your
Holy.
parents.
Shoo.
Dude, I miss that trash talking.
You don't trash
yeah,
talk
like,
anymore? You don't
I
walk
mean, I
up
don't
to
really.
like 8-year-old drummers. You're like, yeah, you suck, man. Learn how to
No,
play drums, kid.
no. Even though in my head, even that just sounds hilarious.
You don't
It's terrible.
walk up to like a 10-year-old Tony Royster Jr. You're wasting your time, kid.
Oh, dude, that's the worst. I was just listening to another podcast. A buddy of mine does. With, do you know Saxel Rose, the sax player that? Oh, I need to show you his stuff
For
at
sure.
some point. He's this guy from Harvard of Grace, and he basically started putting up sax covers of alternative pop songs a couple years back. Like he did a Paramore song, and then Haley Williams discovered it, and then it went full circle, and then he played with Paramore on stage at Merriweather, and he's also played with Neck Deep, any of those bands that
Dang.
are front cover of alternative press he's
Can
played
you
with.
imagine? Holy. So he just did like and this is somebody that you were listening to their podcast, you're saying? Do you know them in
Yeah.
person?
And I forgot why I was doing that. My ADD is terrible. What were we talking
Nah,
about
you're
before?
good. Well, it veered into like how you decide like thought about your career as a drummer into wow, I feel like I've ADD as well.
Oh, dude, taking music seriously. It went from Call of
Yes,
Duty,
yes,
and then we went on the
exactly,
Call of Duty
exactly.
tangent. Okay,
Thank you for
so
remembering.
yes, so God, terrible. Okay. So probably a little bit in middle school, and then I really got my act together probably by the time I was 14 or 15. Matt started touring, and I started taking lessons with another guy. This guy named Chris Perazio. Shout out to Chris Perazio, who is also the man. And we did a lot more rudimental type stuff, which was super important. And me being a kid, a lot of times I didn't want to really work on it. And then eventually, once I did, I could just tell because I told him like I was like super excited because like once I got this down, I kind of felt like the connection, like, oh, that makes sense. And he basically said, yeah, that's what happens when you practice. And I was like, oh, yes, I
got him. Yeah, right.
Yeah, he got me. I love that. I love that. He's an Italian man, so he kept it 100 with me. And same with Matt too. Not Italian, but like, dude, whenever I would get excited to share a cover, like something that I worked so hard on, they'd still say like, well, whatever. Like even in Animals as Leader song, I'm like, dude, I got this. Like I crushed it. Like I spent all, and they're like, yeah, but and that. I'm like, dang.
Yeah, right. It's like, but I crushed it, man.
Yeah,
Nah,
no.
but it's cool to have that motivation, especially of
Oh
teachers
yeah,
that you trust to be like, listen, you're on the right path, but keep going, man.
yeah, you're not there, and you won't ever be. Which is great. And it's funny because I I can't speak for everyone, but I love people that just can just criticize you constructively. Because I feel like not everyone can take that. Like even when I was on the podcast with Jordan, Matt specifically said to Jordan, just destroy Kevin. Just do everything that could just crush him and just say like
This
questions
is
that
chocolate
are,
croissants, you're saying?
yeah, and go into topics that you could actually have a serious conversation about. It's like, dang, that's like hitting home. Like that's stuff like that I vent about to people, and you're like going at me with those questions. But dude, I love it. I can take it. So in
As
college,
we've seen in Unnecessary Conversations at its
oh yeah,
best.
I love it. Like for a birthday party at some point, one thing on my bucket list is just to do one of those roasts and just I have everyone roast me.
Oh man, could
I
you
love it.
imagine like Zordon being the host?
Ooh.
Rough.
But yeah, again, I would say definitely high school with just taking drums more and more seriously. And so at that, by the time I got to college, like I was super confident in the audition, because at that point, I feel like a lot of I earned the respect of a lot of the teachers too at that point, because I feel like most of the time as a drum teacher, there's only a select few kids that end up wanting to do it.
Right.
Do it.
And
Music.
even in college, you're saying?
Oh yeah, I'm sure in college as well. So I think for like as teachers, I've just developed such a tight relationship. So once it came to auditioning for college and me transitioning from like Matt and Chris over to the teacher at Towson, who I basically spent, I guess, like the second half of my drumming career learning with Frank Russo. Like with the audition and everything, I was it's cool. I was really confident going in, and it was funny. A buddy of mine who I also encouraged to audition, and he ended up going to Towson. He's doing great things, and he's crushing it. He was so nervous, and I was just cracking up, and he was just getting so mad at me, because he's like, "You're not nervous?" I'm like, "No, I prepared everything, and I'm gonna be fine." And he's like, "Fuck you, dude."
My man.
Yeah,
That's the way to do it, though, dude. Hell yeah.
Yeah, and I just enjoyed every moment learning jazz and that whole world, and that just doing all of that. Sorry, my audio's acting funky.
No,
One
you're
second.
good.
Check. Okay, there we go. With the whole like learning jazz and just the way Frank teached, it was almost I had to forget everything I've already learned and learn the instrument in a completely different way with just approaching uh like music, like just music in general with through jazz, because everything sort of like branched off from that.
You're saying
um
before because you were learning a different genre with even holding the sticks a different way kind of thing, whereas you come into jazz and they're like, we need you to learn it like that kind of deal.
yeah, I mean it's like learning another language, and I feel like maybe prior I was really only exposed to kind of like the rock and pop world, which within that world comes all these different subcultures and stuff like that. And then with jazz, that has its own swagger and vibe, and obviously that music what was basically the part of African American culture. Um, and just learning more about the historical context of where it came from and why, like, kind of why people expressed that way and whatnot. So I got a little bit of a good taste in that. And just even the actual movements and stuff like that, it's different, but I I could tell everything one way or another, especially on the drums, sort of branched from all, like, I call them kind of like the jazz drumming Avengers. Um, so like we study maybe like 6 of those guys, and you can really tell from those, again, from those jazz drummers that we study. Okay, everything really did come from them. Like
Mm-hmm.
Elvin Jones influenced John Bonham, who is one of the most influential rock drummers of all time,
Mm-hmm.
who influenced people probably like Neil Peart, who influenced people like Mike Portnoy and Matt Halpern.
Right. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And for listeners, I just wanted to clarify that what's it called? John Bonham was the original drummer for Led Zeppelin, and Neil Peart is Rush, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then obviously Matt Halpern is of Periphery and like new age type drumming. Um,
Yeah.
who? What was the other dude you said?
Elvin Jones.
Evan. Okay, gotcha, gotcha. And then just to clarify for the people listening right now, what did you study specifically in school?
So I majored in business project management and minored in music performance for jazz drumming.
Jazz performance. Gotcha. It's funny because I remember thinking, and I have the utmost respect for you in doing that. I remember thinking as a musician going, from high school going into college, I was like, the one thing that I know I want to do for the rest of my life is music. But I remember my friends that were in jazz performance or guitar performance, drum performance. It's like that was their life. It enveloped literally everything that they did was either studying or practicing, which at this point I know that that's what you need to do in order to be successful. But um, I remember thinking about that kind of thing. And at the time, I was just not focused enough to think, oh, I can do this for 4 years or I can do this for 2 years and switch or whatever. And I
Mhm.
remember that, like, was one of the main reasons I actually stopped playing guitar and went into drums because I was like, I have been playing this so much, and I know if I go to school for it, like it will probably destroy my ambition to want to play it every day because I was doing it every day for fun, for hours at a time, in
Mhm.
addition to playing drums and stuff. But I thought if I were to go into college for anything, it would be guitar rather than drums because I've been playing guitar at that point for 7 years and drums only for two, like
Mhm.
one and a half, almost two. But to your effect, which it's super impressive because of your focus and dedication to it, you've been learning drums your entire life and went to school for drum performance, which jazz drum performance, I don't, people mostly, not many people know this, but jazz is one of the most difficult things to play on drums. As easy as it sounds, it is so just like obtuse. You know,
Yeah.
it's so interesting, and I definitely applaud your dedication to that. In addition to still doing it, it's
Hmm.
definitely impressive.
Yeah, and also growing up in the community that we did, we're probably not exposed to it because for people that grew up on jazz, it's that might be easier for them than playing rock music. Um, so I guess that that clarifies a little bit, but yeah, definitely, there's a
For
lot
sure.
more movements and stuff going on with the hands versus again what we're kind of used to listening to, which is pop or rock music, which kind of keeps a steady beat. With jazz, it's a lot of improvisation and free form,
Right.
and
And rock is more rudimental and like, if you know how to play, the basic 6/8 rudiments, you can play rock in any effect, pretty much.
yeah.
But
Hmm.
jazz is not anything close to that. It's so weird. And yeah,
Hmm.
it's like the rudiments that you learn for interdependence are not very different, but definitely different from any other genre that I've learned, at
Yeah,
least.
and y- um a lot of it is, I mean, a lot of it is the same rudiments because I guess the rock rudiments or the rudiments that you play in rock, you also play in jazz. It's more kind of just approaching what the style and the vibe was back then, as well.
When you studied jazz, at which point can you say that you saw a connection between rock and jazz music? Like, at what year did you guys study that to be like, oh, they're relatively cohesive?
Oh, probably my freshman year, first semester.
Uh,
I definitely saw the connection right away.
and do you know like the artists or band or like what year or time that sort of took place in music culture?
So the music that we studied in particular would be bebop jazz, which is like a subgenre of jazz. That was popular between the 40s and the 60s. Again, I'm not the most like intelligent person when it comes to this stuff. Again, I only minor music, so my like history knowledge
You
might be a
know
little bit
far more than me, and I'm
isn't
sure more than other
perfect.
viewers, man. So
Yeah.
I know you're saying facts, or you would say you don't know. So it's definitely appreciated that you're
Yeah.
saying the
So
information.
yeah, I mean, it came during like the 40s and 60s. I don't know what else to
No, Nate.
say.
I was thinking as well, like how maybe growing up as a rock and pop drummer, as studying jazz performance, also when it clicked for you, that it's like not only they are different genres, but you can use them all to be your own style.
Oh yeah, and for sure. And I guess one way to think about it too is, I guess during the 60s, okay, cool. Miles Davis was breaking through and changing things up all the time. Um, but also during the 60s, there were the Beatles and the Stones and all that music also coming around. And with the Beatles, they took influence from a lot of R&B, which took influence from jazz. So it all kind of connects together in that sort of sense.
You heard it here. Every genre is the same. No, I'm just kidding. Terrible joke. Terrible joke. So, do you have, I guess, growing up, like a teacher, not a favorite teacher, but one that, or in each one, did you learn specific items to make your sound unique? Because at this point, hearing you in the originals that you're a part of, which we'll get into overthoughts a little later, it definitely sounds like your style is there. Like when I listen to Kevin the drummer Goren, I can almost hear that it is you playing drums.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. Um, so basically, what I got out of different teachers, or like,
And how you think it helped you grow as a drummer.
mhm. So
Or one
with
specifically. If you can think of everyone, that would be awesome to hear. I'd love
yeah,
to hear it.
sure. So I would say with Matt, a lot of our later lessons would kind of be focused on groove and movement and not and just trying to stay relaxed while playing, which sort of connected with Chris's approach, which was getting those rudiments down, specific patterns and whatnot down, and applying it to the kit, and also still staying relaxed, but also being tight with a metronome and whatnot. Because at that time, again, he could tell I was into the prog metal stuff, and that's what Chris was also into. Like, Chris is super into like Mike Portnoy from Dream Theater,
True.
Styx, The Police. So all that stuff had technical drumming, but it was all super clean. So he kind of helped with me like cleaning up on that. And then with Frank, it kind of just tied everything together with jazz, which required both of those things.
So I'm not exactly sure how to like ask this, I guess, but
Uh-huh.
at what point did you see, and even if you're not there, it's completely fine, but like I know for guitar for me, like I remember like I used to think that I was like bad at guitar for the first 5 years I played it. And I remember one day I was practicing for a little bit and I was playing something and I was thinking like, "Oh wow, I'm pretty good." Like when did you first have that revelation of like, "Oh wow, I'm actually a drummer"?
Um, I don't know. Maybe I saw it in bits of pieces um, as I was developing. And it's a never ending journey, as one would say. Learning music is a journey. um,
Indeed.
so 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 you hit certain milestones. So when I was 13, I had maybe the capability of playing Everlong, and that was a song that was a fun challenge to me at that time. And the fact that I was able to play it, and also quickly learn songs. I did School of Rock as a student too,
Nice.
coming up, so I was able to learn songs really fast as well, um, and play with people, and do that. Um, and it just kind of comes in different strides, and in just different parts of my life. Like even now, there's moments where I feel like I'm god awful, and then I figure something out, and it's like, oh, cool, I can do this. Like even now.
Right, for sure. I was thinking more so into your identity as a drummer rather than like obviously we can be better every day and
Right.
like we reach to be, the unreachable and we practice as much as we possibly can to get the best we can. But specifically to your identity as a drummer where you have these revelations of like, yeah, like you just feel like you're on the right path.
Yes, I can tell you the first time I really felt that, which was when I did Maccabi for the first time in 7th or 8th grade. And the group I was playing with, we did Decode by Paramore, which is just a killer song. It's just rocking.
I
And there's
cannot
so much,
remember that, unfortunately.
it's all good. But it's just like a really powerful, like in your face song. Um, and the place that we were performing, um, I don't know, we were in this kind of compact room, and it was us and maybe like 100 people just tight. And while that was happening, I was super into double bass, so I was just like overplaying, and it was super fun. But people were just into it, and there were mosh pits and stuff. And I'm like, this is so sick. Plus, I was in LA, and I totally took it for granted when I was 12, because I was probably just being a brat complaining about things that I did not need to complain about. um, but yeah, after that show, and just kind of feeling that like crowd interaction too, that definitely justified. Okay, yeah, I definitely want to perform and do that thing that I see the people that I look up to doing even more now that I had a little bit of a taste of it.
Damn. So your first experience playing a show was for more than 100 people in an intimate venue as in LA as a 12-year-old.
Yeah, I always forget that. That sound like I. That
That's
sounds really cool, and like
it's
if I heard,
amazing.
yeah, I'm always jealous that I of my 12-year-old self now, obviously just with quarantine and all that stuff. Yeah, and then it took, I don't know, I guess 10 years, and then I played another show there or something like
At
that.
the same venue in LA?
Oh, no, I don't remember where it was.
Okay, okay.
But it was at a venue in LA
Nice.
somewhere.
Nice.
Mhm.
Oh man, I was gonna ask something I completely spaced by your neglect to thinking how cool it is as a 12-year-old that you're
Yeah.
doing that shit. Oh yeah, my first show or like, experience I ever had playing was at Java Mama's. Do you remember that place?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I played guitar with this dude who I went to high school with. I think he was well, his name was Logan Helfenstein. And like this was my first experience as like just a stranger in another venue. Not like playing a
Mhm.
school show or anything like that, but it's like, me and him we were playing guitar, he was singing, and like I
Mhm.
had a couple backup vocals, but it was like for 8 people or whatever. And it's like and I was probably like 14, 15,
Mhm.
something like that. But yeah, like that was my first experience. It's like, damn, this man is playing for like mad people a little younger, killing it in LA.
Dude, Logan is awesome.
He really is.
He's great. I occasionally text him just to check in. I think he's in Lancaster right now.
I haven't talked
Doing
to him for a minute, dude.
Yeah, but I forgot the metalcore band he was in high school. Um,
I think I remember
but
who
they
it was
were
with, but I
so
can't.
good.
Wasn't it
It was,
Orlando? Wasn't that the kid's name that he played with?
I think, for a little bit. I just remember it was Logan, Tyler Lewers, who's a sick
Well, yeah,
drummer,
yeah, for sure.
um, John Kampf, and Gosha.
Oh, he sounds so. Is he a guitar player?
Gosha Gurvich. Yeah, Gosha is a guitar player.
I feel like I've met him maybe twice ever, but his name I cannot forget.
Yeah.
Very neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember the last time I saw him, he said he was he was a professional wrestler.
Logan, yeah.
Do you know if he
Yeah,
still does that?
I don't know. He's definitely involved in that community, though. He'd probably be good friends with Jordan Goodman of the Chocolate
Right.
Croissants podcast.
Exactly, of unnecessary conversations. Damn. I'm curious though, what was like the first real band that you were a part of?
What was the band called? I'm blanking out on it. So I don't think the band is super active anymore, but they go by Perihelion now. Or at least like over the last couple years. But prior, it was called Upon Reflection, which was the first mission of the amazing video game LA Noire.
That sounds so
Um,
familiar.
LA Noire, it was made by the same people that make the Grand Theft Auto games,
Okay,
and you
so
were a
I know
detective.
exactly. It's like a okay. I know exactly what that is. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and one of the best things was you could pick up items and use like the pad, and it would be hilarious because you'd find a clue and you'd basically go like this to try to find the evidence. So it's like, oh, I found a clue. Let me figure this out. For those of you who aren't seeing this, I'm basically I don't know how do you describe what I'm doing with my hand right now, Alex.
Flailing.
Flailing it like a chicken.
Like a chicken. I
Like a
actually, you
chicken.
just reminded me. I need to upload the audio to podcast, links. I only do this on YouTube after, like, we're live right now on Twitch.
Sorry.
But nah, you're good.
There's one that says link. Hold on.
Link.
Wait. There we go.
Link.
The link. Okay, I need to memorize it. Sorry.
Holy. Oh man, that's amazing. I forgot what I was saying.
I wish there was playback. We just listen to ourselves.
Yeah,
Just
dude.
remember after 10
Holy-
seconds.
Oh yeah, I need to put the audio on, like audio thing. I
Yeah.
actually need to talk to Zordon, or just I guess it would be an easy lookup to just see what is the best site in order to get the audio from this onto something else.
Hmm.
Um,
Dude, if
yeah.
I ever start a podcast, it's gonna be called the ADHD podcast.
Holy, dude, for real. I
Yeah.
feel like there are times when I feel like I'm super focused and I like like I'm like that, and then I'm in it and I'm like blanking. It's like a
Yeah.
test anxiety almost. It's weird.
Hmm.
Why are we're like boys that are just chilling and talking. Why are we forgetting? I guess because we're
Because we're
comfortable.
boys.
Yeah, exactly. We're just
Yeah, like,
chilling, bro.
dude,
We're chilling.
there's this meme. I think I forgot to send it to you, but oh, you know those. Let me find it. I'm gonna find it. Where is it?
You know those? Dang.
Oh no. There it is. Okay. So you know those memes where they're kind of like, well, they're not really memes. They're kind of like inspirational type quotes that say if you're in your 20s and 30s and you don't surround yourself with people where you're talking about business, plans, the stock market, et cetera, like if you aren't talking about that, you should find new friends. And
Right,
it's like,
right. Yeah, yeah.
so there's one that's making fun of that, and it says if you're 20 to 30 and your main circle isn't discussing farting, pooping, peeing on your poop, pooping on your pee, farting on your poopy, then it's time to find a new circle of friends.
That's 2021 for you in a nutshell.
Yeah, I resonate with that a lot. Dude, me and a buddy of mine whose name is also Alex, we just started doing this thing where we've just stopped having normal conversations and we just think of the most random stuff and we just respond we just respond to each other and just kind of spitball from there. Like we ended up uh deciding that we're aliens um somehow, and we're like, I don't know, interrogating certain humans, and then we just decided to just text this one random friend of ours just confessing that we've been an alien this entire time. At the same time, we were just thinking like, what are we doing right now?
Man, you are creative. I feel it.
This is what happens when you just start losing it.
Yeah, right.
Quarantine.
Holy, that's amazing.
Yeah,
So
it
what's
was
what's
like,
the conclusion? Are you actually aliens?
I don't know, because like I think it started with like someone said something stupid, and then it was like, oh, I'm actually an FBI this whole time. Well, it's like, well, little did you know, I'm an FBI agent, but actually the FBI agent, I'm a robot that was created by the FBI agent, but I don't think I might not be a robot. And then he just come up with some conspiracy, and it just kept getting deeper and deeper.
It sounds like you could find this information at infowars.com.
Yes. Do you watch the show Community?
I did back in the day, and I love Donald Glover.
Yes. Basically, we're Abed. We're just being Abeds.
Fair enough. Okay. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, what a great show.
Oh,
I
the
remember
best.
trying to rewatch it recently, and it's like,
It's on Netflix now.
yeah, that exactly. When I saw that it came back to Netflix, I think I watched like 3 episodes, but the jokes are all pop culture. So it's like
It's so
it
good.
it is, and it's hilarious, but it doesn't for me hold up as well because it's all references of that day. Like the interactions between male and female, all that. It's like references of that day and time.
Hmm.
So at least for me, so like a Saturday Night Live, but an entire show, whatever.
Yeah.
I forget if the seasons like are with the years rather than the same humor.
I
I
don't
need to
know. It's
rewatch
not
it
like
honestly.
South Park.
Right.
They kind of stuck to their own thing.
They're geniuses, dude.
Oh yeah, and I again, I didn't really know about the show until I saw it. It was on Netflix, and it was the guy who did um, Rick and Morty, because I just love that writer so much. I think his name's Dan Harmon.
Yeah,
And
yep.
then I saw that the Russo brothers were also part of the first 3 seasons, and the Russo brothers did like all the more later Avenger movies.
Like the first 3 seasons of the Community.
Yeah, they were part of that
I didn't
as
know that.
well.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Damn,
So
killing
as
it.
soon as I saw that the Russo brothers and Dan Harmon were in the same room, and
It's
I
like,
also saw the cast like Donald Glover, I was just like, this show has to be amazing.
right? And I can't
And also
remember
Chevy Chase.
Exactly. I can't remember the other dude who was like the teacher guy. I can't remember his name, but he was also in like everything back in the day.
Hangover. The hang.
I can't. What else?
I know the character's name is Ben Chang. Hold on. Um, Chang actor.
I can't remember.
What's his name? Oh, Ken Jeong.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. I just need to look this up real quick just to make sure it is. No. Not him. What'd you say his name was?
Ken Jeong.
Ken.
Like the Barbie doll.
I just okay. Yes. Yes. Exactly. Jeong. Yep. I just typed in King Jong and I was like, that's not.
Yeah, not Kim Jong.
Not King. It's like that's not him.
No,
Yeah.
not the
Yeah.
dictator.
Exactly. In
North Korea.
Hangover. Yeah. Yeah. He wasn't in the community.
No.
They couldn't afford him.
Yeah. Do you think Kim Jong went to community college?
I'm sure he invented his own community college. Oh man. Do you believe in aliens though? I'm just curious. Like, do you think that they're real? Extraterrestrial life?
I want to. Yes. I'm rooting for it. I just need the evidence because people say there is evidence, and I need to. Apparently, there's a documentary of these group of guys that were together on some road trip in the 80s, and one of their friends got abducted, and apparently the friend only had flashbacks of certain moments for 20 minutes, and he said there were two types of aliens. There's the gray one that we're used to seeing, and then there's kind of like a hybrid one that looks more human, but their skin is different. And it was just interesting. But I also you could also speculate that he was drugged or something. But who knows?
But like, imagine if they were just on drugs and then he just like freaked out and that's what he saw and his brain it was a coagulation of just different thought processes. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know. I just want to add on to what you just said regarding being abducted. It's like no credible source has ever said anything regarding abductions. There have been credible sources to say that they have sighted a UFO or some sort of intelligence.
Uh-huh.
There is a government facility that is now declassified but is obviously still like top secret that they do study these mechanisms in called SR-71. Which is like a subsection of Area 51. But when people say, "Oh, I've been abducted," it's like I don't know if I can believe that ever because and it's like and if you don't, it's like how could you ever prove that? And I get it. It's like very similar to ghosts, but like
Yeah. I was
there
about to say the same thing.
it's like if you say, "Oh, I was abducted and I saw the gray aliens that are speculated in like The Martian." It's like do you like you know, like
Hmm.
there's no way that you saw exactly what a Hollywood movie created for you to see, and that's what you're swearing by you were abducted. It's like I don't know if I can believe that ever. There are scenarios that I do believe, and they are unexplainable, and I've seen a few things that are like fucking nuts, but I don't know. I would love to talk to somebody who claims to have been abducted and just hear
Yeah.
their story.
Definitely. And I just want to have firsthand experience with it happening. So, because it's one thing if someone just says it, but it's another thing if you were there when it happened. Same thing with ghosts too, and people getting possessed. There's so many cool, crazy stories uh, uh, that surround that, and you obviously have that show Ghost Adventures and stuff like that. And I actually have a friend who's down in Arkansas, and she works at one of the most haunted hotels ever, and she just tells me all sorts of crazy stories about people in certain rooms, like their blankets or pillows were getting thrown and no one's in there. They were just in a room by themselves, or getting scratches on their back, and stuff like
Has
that.
she
And I
ever
even said,
experienced anything?
I think she did experience something, and she's not phased. I think she just wasn't phased by it. And I'm just like, how? I feel like if that happened, I would just scream like a little 10-year-old and just cry.
I am not afraid of much in this world. I can
Mhm.
I can 1000% say that like being haunted is my biggest fucking fear. I don't know if it's irrational because as you just said, there have been cases throughout all of history of this kind of shit, but it's like could you like demons like that is so terrifying. I don't want to put myself in a situation in which I could be in that state, like Ouija boards and all that unleashing a different portal. Like why would people want to be haunted or possessed? Like
I don't
what?
know. People are cool.
Yeah, people are cool,
Uh,
man.
dude, there.
What?
I don't know if she's still working at the front desk, but
Holy.
I forget her name, but she like this person that works at my School of Rock front desk. I'm not sure if she still works there anymore because I don't see her as much, but she does like witchcraft stuff. I'm like, yo, that's sick. Like I don't really believe in it, but I want to know about like all the nuances and why you do it, and
What do you mean by witchcraft stuff? Do you can
like
you articulate?
like doing spells and uh like I don't know
Where's my amigos pad? Damn.
um
Thank you.
yeah, and just doing like, oh, I'm gonna cast a spell on this person so he's gonna have bad luck.
Do you believe that to be true?
I don't know. Again, I need first-hand experience. Like if
I
the
guess
next
you
time,
don't want to have bad luck,
yeah.
but
Well,
it's
I
like
also don't want to get on her bad side because you never
yeah,
know.
right. Yeah, for sure. It's so
But I kind of
interesting.
do. No, I don't.
Right, just to
It's not worth
experience
it.
it. Right? No, I feel.
No, I don't want to poo poo pee pee in my pants. But that could just be karma too.
Yeah, that's exactly. It's like the universe is so crazy and I'm sure all of us have experienced instant karma. And it's like,
Hmm.
like you say like, "Oh, fuck you," and then you stub your toe and it's like yeah, when you shouldn't have said it because you were overreacting and it's like, "Okay, that kind of makes perfect sense." And that we can tangibly see as like karma. Or, if you're a shitty person, shitty things happen to you. That is
Yeah.
almost inevitable. Whereas
Oh
you're a
yeah.
good person,
Totally.
good things happen to you. It's almost inevitable. But it's like I do, as much as I do believe in karma, and I am very spiritual, it's like I'm in the same boat as you. I would need to see something that helps secure my idea that like ghosts and demons, spirits are real. Like, whereas for aliens, for example, as you said, I've experienced a couple things. I've read and watched and listened to podcasts of a fuck ton of pretty credible experiences. Um, but like, I've never had and haven't indulged too deep on being haunted. Yeah, and like ghosts. And it's like, yeah, there's stories all over the world and they happen often, but it's
Yeah.
like I just don't know. It's like
Yeah.
so much of that's because like you can imagine anything that you want. If you believe something, even unconsciously, you could be in that haunted hotel and scratch yourself when you're sleeping. How do you know that's what they're not filming you? Yeah, how do you know you didn't do that? Like that kind of shit.
Hmm.
It's just so strange.
Yeah, or it's part of the hotel where they have certain things that would trigger it,
Right,
and
it's
then the
possible
hotel.
there are
Yeah.
like a little like magnets in the blanket, and there's a magnet in the wall, and they high velocity for a second, and it shoots to the. It's like obviously, why would they spend money to do that? But it's like it's possible.
Hmm.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
like, yeah. And it's so funny too. There is kind of a ghost, a funny ghost. I wouldn't say funny. It was just a ghost moment. I think it's kind of funny though. So my grandfather passed away a year ago. And what ended up happening was, um, one of my aunts that bought the convertible, um, at like certain times she would hear like it sounded like someone throwing stones at the window at like a certain time, and then she'd go out and she wouldn't see anything.
At the car
Um,
window or her house window?
like her house window, but it like the sound was coming from like where the red convertible was parked. And so we're all kind of like, oh, it's grandpa.
Hmm.
Like that's so cool. And my dad's just like, no, I'm gonna get to the bottom of this and figure out why this is. And then we determined it was cicadas, and we're like, dang, you're no fun, Dad.
Oh man,
You're probably right, but
Did he catch
oh.
cicadas like hitting the thing at the same time that
So
she heard it?
he heard something similar happen in our house, and then he kind of he looked because he's like, oh, that was the same type of sound my aunt was describing. So he went to check, and he just saw little cicada bugs hitting the window.
It's weird because
So you never know.
Right. We as humans want to make sense of things. So when things
We
that
want Star Wars to be real.
right, when things that happen don't make sense, we are like, what's the best logical explanation for that? And when there isn't one, you go to like uh
Politicians, and then they say Jewish space lasers cause the forest fires, and then me
exactly.
and all my Jewish friends we were just saying, how
Why
did
can't
she
we be
find
a
out
part of
about our
this
space
program?
laser?
Yeah, exactly.
Where do I sign up? I want a Jewish Death Star. Count me in.
All right, we talked about that for like 5 minutes too long. All right, all right. So, oh shit. One thing I do want to get into because it is fucking awesome is your experience in the band that you were in previously, to now called Stack Like Pancakes, and your, like I want. Just if you don't mind going over like how exactly you all met or how you started in the group, in addition to your touring experience and where you got to go.
Cool. This is always a fun story of the lesson of take every gig seriously and stuff. You never know where a certain show might get you if you put yourself out there. So when I was in my metal band my senior year of high school, a lot of my friends were older and were at Towson. I got accepted into Towson, and I already had buddies that were in the music program at Towson. So once they heard about the show, there was also another band that comprised of a couple Towson students. They weren't music majors, but they went to they were going to Towson at the time. So some of my buddies came to go see the show that we were all doing, and one specific friend brought someone that was studying the jazz drum performance at that time. This guy named Asher Herzog, who's awesome, and me and him hit it off super well. And then after that show, he told me, "Oh, in a couple of weeks, it's these two drummers, junior and senior recital. You should go and watch them play." So I went to go to this recital, and it was this guy named Jack Naden who was sick, and Daryl Reddix who was sick. But yeah, especially with Daryl, I was just absolutely mind blown with his playing. And he came from like a gospel and jazz background. And just something that was so foreign to me at that time. So just watching him play, I was just like, I've never heard any drummer, aside from maybe watching YouTube videos like on the internet, play like this in real life. And the fact that you can come out sounding like this is so exciting. I got to become friends with this guy immediately. So, so after the show, I just started talking with Daryl, and then I think he was a junior at the time, so he was probably 21, and I was only 17. And then we started hanging out over the summer. And again, looking back now, it's like, dang, a 21-year-old hang out with a little 17-year-old brat. like like that's cool that he went out of his way to like even just hang out.
But
so I
take
guess
into
I was,
consideration, if you're not an ignorant piece of shit, it's easy to hang out with anybody of any age.
oh,
It's like
totally,
when you
for
hang out with a
sure.
little cousin, if they're 12 years old, you can still
Exactly.
very much enjoy it as long as they're not being clowns.
Yeah.
But same thing with, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You're pretty much an
And
adult at 17 anyway.
Yeah, and it's full circle because now that I'm hanging like again with COVID and stuff, most of the people I interact with are that age now. There really isn't that much of like there's obviously like some like life experiences, but we're all kind of on the same maturity wavelength of poo poo people.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah.
Yo, you seen that TikTok of the Travis Scott burger?
Nah,
You haven't?
I haven't, no.
Oh, it's kind of outdated at this point, and by
Shit,
outdated,
bro.
like 5 months ago.
I'm a boomer, dude.
Yeah, exactly. No, we don't need to get into that. That's not important. But anyway, going back to the story of with Stack Like Pancakes. So me and Daryl hit it off. We started hanging out and kind of like shedding, and he was kind of showing me cool stuff to start thinking about in terms of like practicing and just how to think about music in a completely different way, and just getting into other genres of music outside of what I was used to. And whatnot. So we hit it off super well. So
sorry.
coming into freshman year, he was the drummer of Stack Like Pancakes at the time. During that time, and I didn't really know too much about them. And then there's a Halloween gig that he couldn't do because he was playing in a lot of groups at that time. So I basically he let me sub in, and to me that was a big honor because I'm just kind of a freshman. And there were definitely in my mind, like again, like I was like the new blood, and I'm just like, you could have asked like any of these other guys that have way more experience than I do, but thank you so much for having me do this. I'm gonna work my butt off and make sure I can do the best I can with this group and just make like a really good impression, because you never know. So that's exactly what I did. And all the guys like dug it, and they saw I put in the work, and they appreciate it. And it's like, all right, thank you for like subbing in. This helped a lot, and like thank you for taking the time for learning the songs. If we ever need you for a gig that Daryl can't do again, you'll definitely kind of be the go-to sub drummer. And then
this is, sorry to cut you off, but this is the dude that you met that you're like, this dude is sick, that brought you in, that essentially introduced you to the band, and you're now playing drums in his spot.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And obviously I did my research after, because at that time it was 2014, so they did the Ernie Ball Battle of the Bands Warped Tour, and to me I was just thinking, whoa, that's huge. Like that's awesome. And it was, I could also see with the band leader, he was super driven and wanted to tour and do this. And I was kind of getting acquainted to also kind of I was like in a bit of a culture shock with the music program, because I thought everyone would want to be similar to me, with like have similar goals. Like, oh, I'm learning jazz, but I want to, be in a touring, like famous band. But I was probably one of the only people that like wanted to, like, that had a huge interest in that touring route. So it was cool to meet someone that had a very similar drive to that, and that I also resonated with that as well. And yeah, so that was 2014, and then in let me think, what would be the next thing that happened that was awesome? So, this was funny too. It was one of those funny be careful what you wish for moments, where in springtime a lot of people have, like, all the older people, the juniors and seniors, have their recitals, and I'm like, man, I hope one day someone asks me to do some cool recital or some cool opportunity. And as like 3 seconds after I said that, there's this car that comes speeding by, and I just hear this guy say, "Yo, Kevin," and I'm like, "Whoa, what's going on?" And then I see Daryl. I'm like, "Yo, what's up, dude? How's it going?" And he said, "Hey, I can't do one of the Warp Tour dates. Stack Like Pancakes got 10 days of Warp Tour. Do you want to do the one in Nashville? I can't do it." And I was just like, "Wait, what?" And he's like, "Yeah." And then he just drove off, and I'm like, "What is going on?" So I texted him, and he gave me more details, and I texted some of the other guys in the band, and they're like, yeah, we need you to do this. So I got to do Warped Tour summer of 2015 and do that in Nashville. And that was, again, a really sick show. And that was my first experience, again, kind of doing like a huge festival. And then it was cool, kind of just the aftermath of meeting, like with Warped Tour, you get hardcore fans and you win over hardcore fans. It's not like, I don't know, maybe a local gig where your friends and family show up and that's kind of, they come see your band and then they leave afterwards. Like this was kind of like a genuine connection between a complete stranger that has no idea who you are, and then they listen to your music and they feel connected with you in that sort of level. And that was, again, something I got a taste of that, and I just absolutely love
Wow.
that
So your
aspect.
first show was at a Warped Tour in, you said Tennessee?
Tennessee, yeah.
Wow. And that was your first show, like with Stack Like Pancakes?
Second, technically,
Okay. Okay.
I think, yeah.
Dang, dude. So how did you feel as fresh blood playing for a few hundred or however many plus people?
It was fun. Looking back at the show, I sucked terribly, but
We always think that to the next performance, like.
oh yeah,
I
no,
think it
but
comes with
like
the
rewatch
territory.
it now, like it was to the point where when we were watching it, we're like, we need to take that down, like because of like the level of the
Oh,
band that we were
shit.
at. But no, I mean it didn't matter. We were having the time of our lives during that show, and then obviously they crushed it with the rest of the shows. And then I'd say a year later, Daryl was sort of just kind of transitioning out of the band, and then since I was already kind of doing a lot of the sub stuff, and the guy saw that I was super hungry, and at that point I was already friends with everyone in the band at that point because I saw them in school. If not, we just had so many rehearsals together and just so many times just hanging out and just kicking it. I ended up kind of being their full-time drummer in, I guess, the summer of 2016. And then that's when the touring started to happen, was right after that.
So from 2015 through the following year, you were just practicing, like assuming you're a part of the band, or you're just like
I was
practicing
just
to hope for the next thing, whatever it
I,
was.
I mean, I was just learning their set because they told me like learn these songs for Warped Tour, so I did that. And then for 2016, they had a bunch of summer shows that Daryl couldn't do, and some of them were wedding stuff. So I basically started really intensively rehearsing with them every week, like early spring. And there weren't that many performances or anything. It was just, again, just weekly rehearsals, just trying to get basically everything that's in their category of songs that they play, like during a 3-hour wedding band set or like a cover band stuff, as well as like their full discography and stuff like that, and rearranged versions of songs. Yeah, I basically kind of just took the time and worked on that with them, and it definitely like took time just to kind of get comfortable and confident with everything. But I mean, again, they saw that I was serious and super hungry, so it was a smooth transition, I guess.
And from that point in 2016, when you started to tour, do you remember the like dates and cities, or not dates, but do you remember the cities in congruency?
For the most part, yeah. So like 2016 in the fall, we did the Real Big Fish tour, and we covered, I'd say, most of the B-list music cities in the country. So we didn't hit like Chicago or DC, but we hit like Baltimore, like Ithaca, New York, instead of New York City. But we still, regardless, we still got to like see the entire country, and play all over the place, which was, again, super fun. And I had the time of my life. And again, and it just reassured. So when I was a kid, of me wanting to be a touring drummer and then having that experience, because again, you had a lot of musicians will kind of just warn you like, hey, touring isn't for everyone. It's not what you think it is. And they are right to like a certain extent, but I absolutely loved every single minute of it. Um, and I don't, and again, I don't know if it was because it was like the youthful energy I had. And I didn't really have as much responsibility. Like I was kind of just showing up and playing the music. I didn't have to deal with any of the behind the scenes stuff, like on the business aspect of the band, which again is a completely different um, ball game.
Avenue. Yeah, for
So
sure.
I can't speak for that. I haven't had that type of experience. Um, but just being a touring drummer for a group, yeah, there wasn't a single minute that I wasn't enjoying myself. Like even just getting on, like getting 2 or 3 hours of sleep, I was basically on cloud nine the entire time. Like, oh, only got 2 hours of sleep. I don't give a shit. Like I'm fucking up. I'm pumped and like let's fucking go to the next city. I also didn't have to drive, so maybe that's also part of why I enjoyed it
Right.
so much.
Yeah, just look out the
I was
window,
so
practice
spoiled.
shit. Yeah. Nah, I mean, it seems like you deserved it, dude. Like you put yourself in a position in which you deserved to be spoiled because you put yourself there. It's not like you just didn't deserve it and somebody's like, "Oh, throw this stranger onto the drum set." It was like you worked for it for years and then you were there.
Yeah.
What was
Yeah.
your favorite show that you played on that tour specifically, 2016 to 17?
I would say in the Real Big Fish show, Nashville, because that was one of like, I think in terms of the turnout, it was one of the higher turnouts. But in terms of the crowd energy there, anytime I go to Nashville, it's just kind of like that sort of like vibe, just because it's a music city.
Yeah, that's what
But
I've heard.
also my sister and her now fiance did
Mazel.
like a little vacation there, so I was on kind of like the energy of like having them see me kind of do the thing that I'm doing.
Oh,
And
so they were
also,
at that show.
yeah.
Dope.
Um, and then I also had a couple friends that were at school. I don't know if they're still there, but at Belmont University, which is in Nashville, and they came through too. So, and again, kind of that whole full circle, like, oh, we did it in Maryland and we became friends, and now we traveled all the way here and we know each other, and you're getting to see me like perform with like a touring band now, opening up for again like a legendary ska band.
I remember listening to Real Big Fish when I was 12 or 13. Like it was around the time, like Simple Plan and Good Charlotte and all those dudes. It was like Real Big Fish was one of the ones at the top with all them.
Yeah, and it's crazy just kind of seeing the shows that they did back in the day, just huge sold out festivals all over.
Oh yeah, dude.
Um,
Holy, those festivals back in the day, just hundreds of a sea of people, dude. Oh my gosh.
yeah,
What's the biggest show that you played? Do you know how many people?
I would I would probably say one of the dates of Warp Tour. Again, there's certain shows that stand out, but with some of those uh dates on Warp Tour, when we actually did pretty much like 2/3 or like a half of it, um, in 2017, a lot of times we were put on the amphitheater. So you got a lot of people passing through. It obviously wasn't like completely filled, but um, I don't know. I would probably say like 2,000, 3,000 people, maybe.
Dang, dude.
Maybe at like a certain point of like people walking by. In terms of maybe like a show that was indoors, I would probably say the Warp Tour kickoff show, which again we were just at that point like just the luckiest band ever, where essentially, God, it's so weird now. It's like back when Warp Tour was a thing. But
Rip.
back when Warp Tour existed, every year the founder of Warp Tour, Kevin Lyman, would do a kickoff show in Florida. I forget, at Full Sail University, and it would be live streamed in front of 20,000 people. And I think at the time, that's how many people were tuning in. And basically, the year that we were on it, um it's like, here are the 4 bands that you should go see that are about to perform live, and we were one of them.
Oh snap.
And that helped us so much because at that point, like, we got even more exposure just from that, and we got so many hardcore fans just after watching that performance, because a good number of them were pissed because it was like we were one of the showcase bands, but we were only on like the second half. So a lot of people were bummed that we weren't coming to their city. It was funny because people had like tagged us in pictures where they had like SLP signs, like
Oh
bring
man.
SLP here or something, and it's like, what? This, like, I can't believe this is like happening
Right.
even now. Yeah, but in terms of that show, it was like maybe 1,500 people, and that was like a super packed venue. And there was actually a really cool moment during that show where someone was having a technical difficulty, so it's like happening during the live stream. So what was so funny was, to make things less awkward, there was someone there that knew me personally somehow, which is really, it's like a really funny, cool moment that happened in front of, again, like 1,500 people, and also the 20,000 people live streaming. Like,
Right.
it was all on air. So all I hear is like this dude say like, "Kevin Goren, I love you." It's like, how do you know me? And then he just shouted like, "Oh, like so and so and so and so," and I'm like, "Dude, that's sick! No way!" And the entire crowd laughed. And I'm like,
That's
"Yo, this is sick.
awesome.
I should do stand up." No, just kidding.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that was like a cool moment.
Indeed. Yeah, I can imagine. That's another like full circle crazy type thing.
Hmm.
Um, what is your how did you feel like what is the best intimate experience for you playing a show? Like is it more so being in an indoor venue with less people or like that, thousands of people watching you and you could be as true to your position as, yourself as, you know, possible. It's like, what do you enjoy more? Like being in that huge group or being like in a pretty intimate type indoor setting?
So here's my answer. So both, but it's more specifically about um those specific types of shows where we're traveling and people are going out of their way to come see us, because they've invested time in us, and it's cool just being in another state where people genuinely like
Our
feel
fans.
connected with
Yeah, yeah.
you, like with your music. And like they might already know things about you, like as a person. um and like I like putting myself out there like online and stuff like that. Um and I'm, again, like a huge social butterfly, so I loved just like talking with random fans and stuff and just messaging them a lot, and and doing all that. So it to me, it didn't really matter if it was um like if we were just playing like a tiny venue where there were 10 people there, but it's like those 10 people were like coming there because like they already knew who we were, and like they were here to like again feel like have that sort of connection with the band. Because again, like after that whole thing sort of dissolved, most of the gigs that I've done, as I like to call them, are gigs. They're not shows. So it's more just playing cover band stuff where it's in a lot of ways the complete opposite type of environment where you're more just background music for
Hmm.
people. You might get heckled and stuff, and it's obviously kind of like a very um, sort of humbling thing. Like it doesn't matter what certain things that you've done in the past, like you're not entitled, like no one is entitled to give a shit about you.
Hmm. That's a great
um
lesson, and absolutely love how you explained that in your feeling toward playing big to small shows to the people that you're playing for. It's like not I feel like a lot of people lose sight of let's say those 10 people being important because everybody you play for that likes your music is important. It's like that kind of thing. And how you just said that was perfect.
Yeah, there's a really great quote um do you know Eric Moore, the drummer?
Yeah, yeah, of course.
Yeah, so Eric Moore is just an insane gospel drummer. He's again one of the
Insane.
best. Um and some dude was vlogging his experience at NAMM, and he's kind of like this goofy drummer that another sick guy named David Cola, and he ran to Eric Moore, and he was like, Eric, what do you have to say to the people? Like, any advice and stuff like that. Like, almost sort of half joking because it's like you're at NAMM, like everyone's just having a good time.
Hmm.
But he said, like, all he said was just, bro, just stay humble. And he kind of went on to say, it doesn't matter how far you've done, it never matters. Like, no one's gonna know who you are. It's like, yeah, we're kind of these big name people in maybe our drummer community, but like that really doesn't mean anything in reality. Like, it doesn't matter. um and I thought that was really cool, and obviously like a million people say stay humble, but I just thought the way he kind of talked about it like that was really cool.
Yeah, he hit the nail on the head, and I
Hmm.
think the foundation of that is like you should do what you love and enjoy because it's not for these people that are heckling you or that, might see you as background or even see you in a band that you like. You do it for you because you love it. And it's like, disregarding the amount of people that like you or that like the grind that you whatever, it's like if you love it and you enjoy it, there's no bigger feat to get past.
Hmm.
And I think that goes hand in hand, and I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, and again, uh, for some people, gigging is definitely work. Like,
Hmm.
I feel like after experiencing just like the shows, because again, for me, I just love connecting with people, and again, I was just very lucky enough to get a taste of that super early on. Um, so obviously, like with like some of the gigs, it uh I definitely prefer playing shows over it. But again, I'm not going to complain because again, the gigs get you money, and that's how musicians a lot of times will make their living. Like, even some of the best. Like, again, I'll use Eric Moore as an example. He will play with some huge, I don't know, arena artist. I know he was playing with Suicidal Tendencies for a while, and then he I want to say some either Spanish or French pop star, um, that obviously do well in that market, but not the U.S. market. Um, but doing that and then coming home, and then he's got to play some wedding gigs and bar gigs, so the grind never stops. So
Right.
you just have to know what you're getting into, but you got to do it because you enjoy it. And
Exactly.
it, at the end of the day, like, I just got to kind of tell myself, like, this is just all part of the process, and like, at least I'm playing music. Like, even if I'm kind of bummed, like, oh, I'm not gonna get home till 3 a.m. or whatever, it's like, whatever. At least I'm getting paid to play my instrument and play
Do
play
what you
music
love
with
to
people.
do.
Like, even if
Exactly.
it's not the music I want to ideally be playing all the time.
Exactly. I mean, and even in those gigs, it's possible that, you meet the bar owner whose, daughter's husband is the guitar player for this famous band, and then you make the connection, and especially you saying being the social butterfly and talking to everybody, messaging everybody that you meet, that connection that you form is so huge and it
Mhm.
goes forever. If somebody thinks of like, oh, who's a drummer that we could use, like, oh, Kevin Goren, and anywhere that you go throughout the entire country, especially now that everything can be done online, it's like that connection that you form and the positive attitude that you sustain is so important in any
Mhm.
gig that you do. I agree.
Yeah.
It's wild though. Could you imagine going like an Eric Moore playing for 100,000 people and then playing like a bar gig for 40 people? Like
Yeah.
holy,
But I mean, I feel like at that point, that would just be like, that's just so exciting that you get to be able to kind of
take a step
taste,
back.
yeah, and be able to just like taste both. Because I feel
Hmm.
like with someone like him, he's truly making a living do, doing that. I mean, with SLP, and even like the bar gigs, it's not like we were doing enough to make ends meet or anything.
Well, you
but
guys also had like a dozen people in your band.
that's true too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also the issues with the logistics.
Yeah, I
as
mean,
well.
but you know, like when you're one person and you're a touring artist and you're a name, it's a little different compared to
Oh, for
being a
sure, completely
12-person
different.
band with a manager. It's like, you know, like
Yeah,
there
yeah.
there isn't much money in the industry, you know, like
Hmm.
it's
Exactly.
unfortunate, but yeah.
It's the reality. But if you
Indeed.
can make, I don't know, 60 to 100K a year doing it, that's like
It's a dream, bro.
sick.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
Ego.
that's the Migo.
hey, for sure. Um, let's see. So you're in a new band now called Overthoughts, and you are with some of the members of Sack Like Pancakes, correct?
Yes, it is all. It's pretty much all the previous members of the band.
Gotcha. And
Pretty
how did
much.
you guys form the idea that you wanted to start the band and do the style that you're doing now? And
I
if you don't
mean,
mind going over the genre that you're currently in.
yeah, sure. I mean, I don't know. I mean, once we all left SLP, there's no reason why we couldn't keep continuing doing music, and some of us have already uh like had stuff kind of like on our computers of songs that we were writing, and like specifically like with Alec, he had some SLP type songs already written, like ready to go. But you know, who knows with kind of the dynamic with SLP, which was much more controlled by one person, that who knows, maybe his songs could have been future SLP songs, but they're not now. So um yeah, and we just kind of figured like, why not? We already have like a good dynamic um with each other, and like we all kind of know how we're wired and work, and we all kind of know each other's music taste, and we're all sort of open to everything. um and
When
again,
Oh,
and
sorry, go
even
for it, go for
just,
it.
yeah, and like another like great lesson um that now I'm like really kind of starting to that it sinks in more and more is while I was like touring with like SLP and stuff like that. Actually, there are two things that um two people sort of said. One of them is much more brutal. We can kind of get into it. But what Frank, the teacher
At
at
Towson?
Towson, was sort of telling me was, don't put all your eggs in one basket. And sort of the reason with that is I feel like the sacrifice of being an SLP meant I was touring again. It's totally worth it, like the experience. So um, but like the sacrifice of being with that group is because I was away from school. I didn't really make as many connections maybe within like the Towson, like Baltimore sort of music scene. But I was also a music minor, so I wasn't that deep anyway. Um like maybe as I would if I was just around and kind of stuck with kind of like all the different groups I was playing with at that time. Because I was definitely playing with there's probably like a point where I was probably playing in like four or five different bands or like projects or like
Damn.
different types of gigs at that time. And then eventually, like once I joined SLP, they all kind of transitioned away coincidentally anyway. And at that time, I just kind of liked being in like SLP. Like that was kind of my identity because we were kind of like this national touring band in it, and we had kind of like a brand as well. Like we weren't just kind of playing shows and that's it. Like we had sort of this identity. So it was cool kind of like being the drummer of this sick band kind of in the same way that Matt is the drummer of this sick band, but also he's Matt.
Right.
So it was cool kind of feeling that. But again, it's like now I don't really know that many people. Like I definitely would have to seek out and like work towards those opportunities more. So it's like, well, our network is sort of limited. So like, why would we try to find other people to play with when we can just play with each other? So yeah, that's pretty much like how that band sort of became a thing. And then obviously with COVID, and even just our goal of trying to find a front man sort of changed things, obviously. But yeah, I mean, we'll see where things go with that
Well, it
at
seems you
whatever
guys
point.
have a great synergy, even in watching your live performance in SLP. Like, you guys definitely have great synergy. Um, regarding or because of COVID and not being able to get together and everything as often, do you guys do a lot of stuff online, or do you still get together as much as you can?
We really haven't. We've pretty much been inactive for a little bit. I mean, we actually just finished like the third single, but like I think when it started, um, I think like some of us were just getting a little bit more antsy than others, um, especially like during COVID, and some of us were just like, all right, let's just put out music, and it's just like, you know what, why not? And we'll do everything we can, within like the budget that we have from like the cover band gigs that we've been doing. Um,
Okay, cool. Yeah,
so
I was about to
obviously,
ask like how exactly you guys had that the balance to cover different items.
yeah, so we basically started a cover band under a completely different name because we don't want to associate the
Mhm.
two together, um, for a lot of reasons. Um, and so we just kind of had a band fun with that, and obviously with COVID, there are still gigs going on, but I'm just not comfortable with it right now.
Right.
Some people are more daring than others. Like, like eh, and I don't really like need to kind of like it's kind of like a obviously like a sensitive topic where it's like, yeah, people are still playing, and I don't know how I feel about that right now
Yeah, man.
with people dying and shit. Um, but yeah, like I'm definitely the type that's just like, dude, this is a real thing that's going on. I do not want to be playing shows at all until this is 100% gone.
We're in the same boat, dude. Yeah, it was like with higher keys as well. It's it's like we haven't really gotten together since the shit started, and it is so tough to be productive. And it seems like you guys have been killing it in both music production, and you guys have put out a music video in COVID. So, regarding that dedication, how did you put everything together, and how did you guys think like, fuck it, we can still do it like this? What was
Okay.
that style?
So that was definitely like in the beginning, early stages. I'm gonna stop being critical because it's like, okay, cool, like we had it going, but it's all about maintaining it. And we haven't, but COVID's been fucking going on, so whatever. It's fine. It's valid. Um, but I mean, we basically kind of just went hard the first 2 months. Like we kind of set up a game plan. We had the two singles that were ready to go. We had so Will, the singer and studio bass player,
Hmm.
hit him
The
and
dude
his
with the
wife's
glasses.
yeah, him and his wife just already started like a film production company already, since him and his wife are both good at that stuff too. Will is just one of those like jack of all trades people. He's just good at so many different things, including that, and directing as well. So we were just lucky in that regards that we already had people that are in the band that have those
This,
skills
yeah,
and
yeah.
resources already to do the music videos. Um, so Will and Alec kind of, and Louise, Will's wife, did most of like the music video planning and stuff, like Excel sheets of like what's happening in each scene. That's definitely their strong suit, not mine at all. Like I'd still like show up to the meetings and be like, yeah, that's cool, but I'd probably just be texting her something like that because I'm like, I trust you guys with this thing. Like in terms of music videos and stuff, like I'll throw in things, but like you guys are way more creative when it comes to that. Like hit me up when we just want to do the dumbest video that makes absolutely no sense with an iPhone. I'd be down to do that. But like even still, like I'd want to have help, and I'd also want someone else to kind of take control of that sort of thing. Um, and so I think that's part of like the reason we weren't able to keep up the momentum. But we did it for the first two songs, and then kind of once December came, again, like our budget was getting tighter and tighter because obviously it costs a little bit for us to work with a producer and get it mixed and mastered, and also adding just the modern production elements because it's 2021 and I am so sick of just hearing guitar, bass, and drums in a song. There needs to be more depth in music at this point, in certain to a certain aspect, in my opinion. um so yeah, like obviously there's like a lot of digital production, and for those of you that, what I specifically mean is kind of like the synth sounds, the 808s, kind of like incorporating like trap elements and stuff like that, and just kind of being very up to date with what's happening now versus kind of being stuck in like the same sort of sounds of the early 2000s,
Mm-hmm.
because music has changed and you really need to kind of evolve musically too, because that's what happens in music, like in every genre too. Like even jazz now, there's like trap jazz
Right.
and stuff like that, and like a lot of R&B influence in jazz, or more like thoroughly kind of composed stuff where things are pre-planned and maybe less like free and improv-y, or there's more like gent jazz because of the
I would
influence
love
that
to hear
Meshuggah and
that.
Periphery.
Gent jazz.
Oh yeah,
What the fuck?
Oh yeah,
Yo,
there's
please
this
send
guy,
me that. Please send me that.
Tigran Hamassi, and that's all you need to know. He's a
I'm gonna look on Spotify right now.
yeah, he's
What
a
is his
Turkish
name?
artist. Tigran, Tigran, I think.
Hamasyan.
Hamasyan.
Okay, yeah, got you. I'll check this out.
Yeah, and there's a lot of Middle Eastern influence too, which already has really cool like melodies and harmonies and kind of chord structures within that, and also kind of crazy rhythms too, even in that style. And you could even, in like a lot of ways, like all those polyrhythms and stuff, a lot of that like is in Middle Eastern music already. So whether Meshuggah or Periphery knows it or not, a lot of that like crazy odd meter rhythm is easily influenced by like Middle Eastern music and stuff like that, whether they even know that or not.
Right.
A lot of it is.
It's amazing
Which
how
is so
cohesive
cool.
that is. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So you don't, backtracking a little bit into overthought production, you don't as much take side in the visual creative, but you do help write all the music, correct?
Yeah. To it. Yeah.
So how did you guys do that?
So.
Like use specific programs? Were you on like Skype?
Yeah. So I mean, in terms of writing, we use a notation software like Sibelius
Okay.
and Guitar Pro.
Mhm.
Now we just use Guitar Pro just because everyone has it. I shared the keychain code with everyone. And yeah, you just put notes on a staff paper and then it produces MIDI sounds. So you pretty much get to have a basic idea of what everything, like how the songs would sound. And that's how I'm able to come up with more intricate parts. I mean, again, a lot of these modern day groups, I mean, especially in hip hop, you have all these intricate, like 30-second note hi-hats, like the stuff that you would be hard to replicate just from jamming.
Right.
Back in the old days, I think like this way, you're able to see and kind of visualize ideas that would be a lot trickier just to pull off from just kind of like improvising. And whatnot, and like with technology too, it's cool because I mean you can write out things that you may not be able to play, but if you can visualize it, that's a great skill to have. Like even to this day, like there's like a Brazilian rhythm that I'm working on, and I'm trying to get comfortable with like a certain pattern that I'm doing with my right hand, and then kind of doing like playing like improvising with the left hand, but sometimes it's a struggle. So like, and I keep track of like what I practice. So I took a note and I said like, okay, cool, I've been trying to improvise, but I need to like I actually need I need to write this stuff out that I'm doing, so I'm able to kind of tightly play it, because it's counterproductive for me to keep trying and failing even at like a slower speed. Like I need to visually see it and like play and read it as I'm going, and that's a skill that I would not be able to
Ah,
do if I kept trying to do the same thing over and over again just by ear and
right. So at this point, everything that you're doing is essentially going into Sibelius so that you can play along with it.
yes, yeah. And there
That's
might
a
be
neat
an
way to
idea
think
that I could,
about it.
yeah. And like the same thing with like chords and stuff like that, because again, I'm definitely not the best when it comes to like harmony and melody and stuff. Like I might have ideas. So what's great is I can write out what I'm going for with the songs, and I just send it over to the guys that know exactly um what I'm going for, and they're
Mhm.
like, okay, cool, these melody like the trumpet melody or the synth melody, it, uh wouldn't it's not happening right now, so I'm going to fix it and make it better, and then we'll send it back to you, and then we kind of keep going and sort of the thing until we like the song is done. um
So, can everybody in your band read and write music?
yes.
That's amazing, dude. That's amazing. There are a lot of times I can't do that very quickly, although I can on every instrument, just not quickly at all. Um, I love being able to hit up somebody like John or Josh, who, for those of you, I mean, I guess that may not know, who I'm sure be very few, part of my band in Higher Keys, whereas they are very talented music theory and musicians, and they know everything that they're playing. So
Oh
it's
yeah.
like I can literally say like, "Hey, John, like," or Josh, play this on piano. You know, something like that. And then I could say, do it as a clav, but in C minor. And he will
Uh-huh.
do exact. And it's like having those kind of people on your team is fucking amazing, because even if you're able to think about it but not produce it, or not get somebody to produce exactly what you're thinking, it completely deters your train of thought, or deters your idea that you're trying to create in order to complete that song. And yeah, having people that can just do it, and it's like this, I say that and you do that, and that's what it shows. It's like, damn, dude, like, what a talent, man, especially when
Mhm.
all of you can do that. Holy.
Yeah. And then the same thing with the producer that we work with, who like he's definitely like if he wanted to be in the band, we'd be like, you're in. I mean, he's contributed so much, because like none of we maybe like Will's just starting to get into it, but just like the modern production, like, all right, like I want trap hats here, and I also want like a drone that sounds like we're in a spooky haunted house.
So your
Or
producer's also your mixing engineer?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. um and he's super versatile at all of that stuff. Like he's made garage metal bands sound like Bring Me the Horizon,
Hmm.
Periphery quality
Right.
bands, just from his songwriting skills and theory skills and like just production skills. And he does the same thing with pop artists. So
That's a
it's the
talent in
perfect
its own.
balance.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's definitely the perfect guy. With like the stuff that we're going for, which again, I'd say it's like a little bit more like eclectic in terms of like what we're sort of bringing. Like the next song that we're releasing, it definitely has um ska punk vibes, and we were kind of like, all right, we're not trying to do this again. We're not trying to be a ska band. Um and have that whole fit like thing. Like we're just kind of like we just kind of want to go with this like alternative rock or alternative pop, so we can bring in whatever. So it's like an upbeat song. So we basically said, okay, the foundation is that, which is totally cool. Because there's nothing wrong with that style either. It's sick as well. But how can we make this more like less of it and kind of make it more like our sound and style. So like
Mhm.
just incorporating all those things. And we even said to like Donnie, like, yo, let's make this like this also could sound like an anime soundtrack opener. So let's try to do everything we can to like from like the sound of like the keys to like the sound of the horns and give it and kind of present it in more of like that sort of vibe, which is what we're trying to go for. Then like, oh, this is definitely like a ska punk song. Um, and so um, I feel like we did everything we could to do that essentially. With the next song, but it still definitely has like its roots, which I think are cool. It just has like that added element, and if we keep saying it's an anime pop song with horns, that hopefully that'll stick.
Yeah, right. That's amazing. Yeah,
And then like the
definitely.
next one we're doing is like a Disney song, essentially.
I definitely. How do I put this? It is amazing the synergy that you need in order to write music with other people and all agree on the final product. Because as musicians or instrumentalists, whatever you are, as a composer, you always want a song with your name on it to sound the best possible you could get it to be. And like it's so easy to rewrite a song 50 times and it's so
Oh
easy to
yeah,
work on one song for 5 years. So the
yeah.
the ability to come together, create a song that you can all agree on in a shorter period of time is such an important skill, and I think
Oh
one
yeah,
that
dude.
so many people take for granted.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And like that's just the way it is. Like there have been so many bands that I've worked with, where even if I'm just like the hired gun, where I like people would vent about like, oh, so and so wants the song to go like this, but I want to go like this, and there's all these arguments and people just not communicating.
Hmm.
And I'm like, dude, like at this point, I'm so past that stuff. And I was like so glad I'm hired. I'm like, dude, I'm just here to play drums how like I'm hired to and then just get out. Like if you're having those issues like still in your 20s, like that like to me that's kind of like amateur. I'm not trying to be a dick or anything, but like I feel like at this point and like in this day and age of music where things you have to just be like put things out quick, there's just no time for like to deal with like that childish stuff. Like you really have to just come to like a happy medium. That's how like like how some of like the best songs I'm sure are written. I'm sure that there is arguing, but it's just like there's no time for that shit anymore. um it's just like grow up, dude. Like at this point, like you should have enough experience just playing that like you should be able to work with others. If you're not able to work well with others, then this isn't the type of thing you should be doing, or you should be a solo artist where you make all the calls. And I definitely see why that's definitely the direction. And I definitely admire way more people that go that route than being in a band these days too, which is again a completely different thing.
I mean,
And I
there's a
have
lot more money in being a solo artist than not.
oh yeah, I mean, I could have a whole huge conversation about like just that, eh, like doing that versus being in a band now. And again, I have kind of my own feelings and thoughts on that
Overthoughts.
direction. And I guess by that I mean like I'm really down for either or. Um, but it's like if there may be, it's like if there comes a point where like I'm ready to kind of move on to the next thing. Like I'm ready to definitely at some point like go to Nashville and just try the hired gun thing. And it's like if I find a band that's dope and find like-minded people, yeah, sure, I'll do that. But also I'm so down to just work with like the next TikTok musician star. Um, and that's something that like I really am trying to also do like on top of overthoughts is just kind of keep like seeing like some of like the new artists that are coming out that are sick and um they're doing everything on their own. um and like maybe yeah, they have their team of like managers and stuff, but I love the fact that like they make all the calls.
Right. They have the creative control. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they have the creative control of everything, and it that with that in mind, they're able to be way more productive than bands, and that's probably also a huge contributing factor to why a lot of popular music and just kind of the direction of music is going. That's definitely a reason why. It's like with technology, you don't need to have anyone but yourself at this point to create awesome music,
Right.
and it's so much easier to do that like if you have sort of like your thing, and then you can collaborate with people that you know you're going to get along with, or will help you with a certain thing,
That
and it's just like a quick and easy
exactly.
process.
Exactly. That was something I was about to mention as well as the collaboration and especially as being a solo artist. But, and then backtracking to being in a band and needing to collaborate and, finding that mid ground as much as I don't know. There's something about being in a cohesive group of musicians that is just the best thing in the world when you can
Hmm.
play your music on stage rather than like being by yourself and hitting play on something. Like I
Right.
do understand if you're like a FKJ or a Tosh Sultana who or Mark Ribier, however you say it, where like you do everything on loop pedals and you can play every instrument. Not Mark
Hmm.
Ribier, but like Tosh Sultana, not FKJ specifically.
Yeah.
But it's like I guess Masego as well. But it's like that is a different level. But like when Masego and FKJ come together, it's like holy. And that is the experience I feel like is the benefit of being in a band. Whereas, it's just such a neat experience that you need people to be cohesive and you need to come to those compromises in order to figure out each other's visions essentially because when you're by yourself you can do whatever you want at any point and it doesn't matter because you're doing it for you, what's best
Hmm.
for you. But when you have 5 people or 7 8 people in a group, it's like you have to figure out what's good for everybody. Yeah,
Right.
or there are issues, so
Yeah.
it definitely is a wild balance and
Hmm.
I
And
can't. Oh, go ahead.
oh, okay. I mean, and there still is that with like the pop artists. Like a lot of times they hire the same people, and they're all super close, and they work on the arrangements. It's no different than being in a band. It's just the songs were maybe just done by one person. Which even in a band, that's how it's done most of the time anyway. Um, so there really isn't that much difference with that. Um, but just in terms of like the live performing aspect, which to me I think is way more exciting than like recording the music. Um, yeah, like you still have that family vibe, and with different artists, depending on what like how they show, like maybe some artists showcase the band more than others. Like MGK, that's a band, to a certain extent. At least his live group. If you ever watch his tour documentaries, which I definitely recommend because they make every other modern day tour documentary so boring to watch because most of touring is just, hey, we're at a gas stop and we're all on our phones because like we talk to each other all the time, but we just want to be like on our phones and eat food and then sound check and then play the show. Like with Machine Gun Kelly, it's like they're partying, they're doing all this like fun rock star stuff, but it's like it's still the same crew, it's the same people that were there with him in the beginning of his career, and they're still playing with him even now, and they get um really well recognition, like especially the drummer Rook.
Hmm.
um like he's all over all like the drum products and stuff, and he's made he's like the modern day Travis Barker in a lot of ways, doing kind of a similar path as Travis, where he's working with different artists and stuff because he's kind of developed a name, and he's also just like a sick drummer, and he's like a
Drummer
sick
of the
dude.
people. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Um, and he's made that name with MGK, where the brand is just MGK.
Hmm.
Um, which is cool.
For sure. Yeah,
So
I've seen a lot of them over the past couple year or 3 years, I guess, of like that Machine Gun Kelly, their drummer. I forgot what you said his name was, but yeah, like
Rook.
Rook on social medias, dude. He's everywhere.
Hmm.
It's amazing. Yeah, being able. But what you said earlier with like them growing up together and they are the ones on tour together, and it's like that is so difficult to find people that you can trust that
Hmm.
help each other bring you to where your goals are, because there is so much crazy shit that goes on and so many wild logistics and egos
Yep.
and thought processes that go
Uh-huh.
into it, and not many people realize like how grounded you truly have to be to stay an artist, like a performing artist with a band. It's one
Hmm.
thing to be by yourself because yourself, like you're chilling. But if you're with a group of people, dude, you have to trust each other. You have
Yeah.
to be fucking tight, and it's a skill, man. It's a
Hmm.
skill.
For show.
Yo, I'm not gonna lie, I have to pee really bad. So
Sweet.
yeah, if you want to entertain real quick, please do, and I'm going
Cool.
to pee.
We'll take a pee break. What, am I allowed to play copyrighted music?
Please do.
Okay, cool. Because we'll both take a pee break. I will play Tigran Hamasyan, I guess, during the pee break. I think this should work. Let's see. Do do do. A B C D E F G. I need to keep saying things so the podcast keeps going on, and I can also take a pee break. Um, what is this? Where is his album? Is this it? Yes. Is it playing? Let's see. I don't think it is. Oh, am I lagging now? Huh. Uh, it's definitely not coming out. All right. You know what? We can't get that. So what I'm gonna do, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I I should come up with a monologue. All right. So let me think of a story that I've had. I don't know. So for the Super Bowl, I rooted for the Buccaneers because no one wanted the Buccaneers to win. But then the Buccaneers won, and I got to laugh at everyone because we all know Tom Brady is the GOAT. All right, Alex, I was doing a football monologue, so I'm gonna go pee now. So just talk about sports.
All right. So, in addition to football, you have Messi. So, yeah, I don't know anything about sports. I'm sure everybody right now that's watching me knows a little bit more about sports than me regarding the people and teams. Straight up. Holy, it's already 9:45. Yo, by the way, we're 2 hours and almost 15 minutes in to my 24-hour B-Day stream tonight, which tomorrow is my birthday, so in a couple hours, and I'm gonna be online all fucking day just to hang out with you guys. So it's gonna be a good time. Definitely stick around. Gonna be playing a little bit of Fort after this, going to Warzone. Um, yeah, then back into Fort, probably a little just chatting. I also need your guys' help in creating a countdown timer. Once I switch back to my game scene, I'm going to create a timer that starts at the amount of time I've left, counting down from 24 hours. And then uh, for the rest, and because Kevin is back, I'll say one more teaser about the rest of the stream. But at 18 hours, I'm going to start doing a subathon, which will indicate every sub that I get, I will stay online an extra period of time. And I also have sub goals and big goals and stuff like that.
Bingo!
Bailey, yo, thank you for the follow. What's going on? And
Bingo!
at this point, before I go back into the next, or go into the next thing that we'll talk about, um, if there's any questions that anybody wants to ask my man Kevin, the drummer Goren here, or anything you want to ask me or add to the conversation that we've already had so far, please feel free to type whatever you would like. We're going to sit here and chill for the next couple minutes while you guys ask some questions, and then we'll go on with the rest of the segment. Yo, Kevin, do you want to play a quick trap beat with that Migo pad for us?
Yeah, sure. Well,
Fuck
I can
yeah.
just I can't do both, but I'll just go to the trap beat part.
I'll trust your judgment. Fuck yeah, dude. Let's go. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So let's see. How many times have they said SLP? I'll go back and I'll tell you. Are you
Who said
zombie?
that?
Stanley Taters. At what point do you take viewer questions? And then I gotta go enjoy fellas from O the Zordon or O the Jordan. Well, I'm glad you got your first vaccine shot. That's nice. On the right path. We're all on the right path. Stanley Taters is a Russian artist. That is correct. That is correct. Anything you want to add before we go into the next thing? I just have a couple more things I want to talk about, and then yeah.
To add?
Yeah, anything you want to talk about? Or
2 + 2 = 4 - 1 3.
You heard the man. Okay.
Oh, it was. What song was that? What's that genre of British rap music? I always forget what it's called.
King Pop, Lil Pop.
Yeah.
That guy. Pop Top.
Yeah.
Shit, what did he say? 1 + 1. Quick math. Fuck, what was that?
Quick maths. 2 + 2 = 4 - 1 3.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a legend. What is?
Who is that?
It's a style. I love it though. It's great.
It's like mumble rap, I guess.
There's a. It's like a specific. I need to look this up. It's driving me crazy.
All right, let's figure that out first. Frosties, dude. Yeah, exactly. For real.
Oh, I think it's called grime.
Grime.
I think it's grime.
I don't know. I feel like that genre shouldn't be called grime. What do I know? What do I know?
Whatever. Oh, drill. That's what it is. It's drill.
What's his name? The artist?
UK drill.
UK. Oh, that's the style of genre of music. Gotcha.
Yeah,
UK drill.
drill.
Neat.
Yeah, Lady Luster. She's one of my favorite drill artists. She's sick.
Drill sergeants.
Yeah.
For some reason, that name reminds me of Die Antwoord. Like the first person that popped into my head when you said that artist's name was the girl in Die Antwoord.
I don't know what that is.
Die Antwoord?
I don't know what that is.
Oh man, I know you've heard some of their songs, dude. Yeah. Well, let me name like their most Die Antwoord. Baby's on Fire. I find you freak. You would probably have to hear that.
Baby's on Fire. That's awesome.
I think you would know them if you heard some of their like couple of their songs. But getting back to the band deal, how does it feel being in Overthoughts compared to SLP in your role that you're not just a hired drummer, you're a part of the core band and you're helping write music?
I guess to that extent, it's fun. It's just like nothing's really. It's hard right now to see to answer that and know the big picture until hopefully things go back to normal. We can start playing shows and kind of be much and have the ability to be consistent with like creating music and like entertaining content together a lot more often, because again right now it with COVID and everyone's state of mental health and stuff like that, it's hard for everyone to be super excited and motivated to like even like to like as simple as just like putting out like a funny TikTok video or just something like that. Like I don't know, none of us are really sort of motivated. Like I feel like just right now, like I'm sort of just focused on just like just kind of practicing and teaching and just doing that whole thing. Yeah.
So, like at the moment, just not really any different. But in regards to your expectations or what you see can like legitimately happen for overthoughts, like what is the big picture for you on that?
I just don't know right now, just because everything is just with COVID, it's just
Hmm.
so hard to see the big picture of really anything. And like if I make any expectation, like, and I've just kind of learned if I make expectations like that are high right now and I don't get them, it's just counterproductive for me and just even just like mental health. Like there's just been like a lot of um like just learning and growing just from dealing with that. Like even like that, I know everyone is just kind of going through it. Like, oh, like with COVID, I have all this free time. I should be doing like taking advantage of the free time. But that there's definitely that factor of like motivation and just being able to see people that can like help push and sort of inspire that. And there's totally nothing wrong with just not being in the right state of mind or having like the discipline to do much right now
Hmm.
with just everything that's going on.
For sure. How do you keep yourself motivated and on track?
Um, I I just sort of tell myself I'm definitely not alone. Um, it I a lot of times I'll go out and just check up on other people too. Um, and for us, it's almost like free therapy. Like we're like I'll just check up on homies, music homies or not music homies, just to see how they're doing. And it's tough. Like a lot of us are definitely struggling right now. Especially some of us are just coming like right out of school or finishing up school. But the best thing to do is just kind of just look at the things that you've already been able to do either pre-COVID or even just now, like even just attempting to do something, and even if in your head you completely fail, at least the fact that you tried to
Tried
do
it.
something
Hmm.
is already an accomplishment in itself. And then also just taking the time off away from it and just doing other things. And again, it's been getting easier and easier and more reassuring the more I hear um like people, like friends uh kind of come up and talk about this, that you may not expect to be going through something similar. But again, a lot of everyone's kind of going through the same thing. I mean, there I have a good friend of mine who I look up to as like a drummer and a person, who I think he's like a year younger than me or a couple years younger than me, but he's he's again this like monster young drummer dude. He's like such a cool dude. Um, and, and when I just kind of checked up on him, he's like, dude, I'm having doubts about even doing like kind of pursuing the whole music route. And this dude, like, I wish I could play like this dude. I'm like, dude, you're too good not to be thinking about this stuff. But it's like, it's real shit. Like, I mean, I've definitely had days where I'm like, is this really worth it? Like trying to invest all this time right now and stuff like that. So everyone's going through it. There have been professional people, like even monsters like Tony Royster or Luke Holland, that they've talked about, like, yeah, we're all going through this right now. Like even Tony Royster, I just saw he posted a thing not too long ago, and he's just like, I need to take a break from Instagram. I don't know when I'll be back, but this is really important. I'm like, dude, thank you. More people need to be doing this instead of just like, especially with like social media. I feel like it's even more toxic now with like people that may have like the privilege to be able to still work in some capacity or another, or with like given the situation they're in. Um, it's easy to let that like get to you more. It's like, oh, this person's playing with this mainstream artist, so they're fine and they're still kind of able to post things behind the scenes, like even with them, it's like, oh, things aren't working out, but it's like, yeah, but with the bigger picture, you're fine versus me. But then, okay, great, I'm comparing myself, which isn't good. And it's like I'm in a good position too, and even if I don't think I like agree with that, like I'm healthy, like everything is fine, and I definitely am.
Right. That's a great way to think about it. And, especially as being somebody fully in the entertainment industry, and it is fucking dead right now. It
Hmm.
is so tough. And, that was my living before shit went down, just DJing different events and the band and all this other shit. And it's like very tough to keep your head screwed on straight and keep your mind straight.
Hmm.
It's even for a Tony Royster Jr. who plays for Jay-Z and Kanye and all these people, it's like, but how do they make their money? It shows. It's,
Oh yeah.
uh, conferences, it's these big lessons, shit like that. Sure, they could do one lesson here and there, and they can make their money and they could have a bunch of people and yeah, they're at the top of their game, but it's like shows are how they make their money, and nothing is
Yeah.
happening right now. So like people
Hmm.
don't realize, sure, you could be friends with the best, you could whatever, but there is no entertainment industry right now. It's like 5% of what it was, and in terms of the funding as well, there's nothing. And it's like I feel similar. It's like I'm super grateful that I'm able to be in my space. I'm healthy, the people around me are healthy, thank goodness. And it's like it's just a it's good to be a community in times like this, and it's unfortunate that a lot of like hatred and aggression and different passions line up so against each other in a time where like we should be coming together. However, I do
Uh-huh.
feel that the more people that say their stories and give people the time, I agree with you. It's like we are in the same boat. Even though you're on this platform, we are still humans in this pandemic. We're still going through it, and we still need the friends to our left and right.
Yeah, and like again, we can just get so caught up, and I'm also just speaking for myself too a lot. Um, but again, like just get caught up in like social media where all you're seeing is just people's highs. Like even
Right.
looking at my shit, it's like cool. It looks like I'm like crushing it with like the videos and stuff, but like majority of the time I'm like feeling like shit a lot of time. And I've been a tiny bit more open when sharing that, but I also just don't really feel the need to put that out there. It's like, oh, I'm sad, give me attention. Like I just like if I have like that type of shit, I just like make jokes about it and keep
Right.
that stuff private.
Well, I
Um,
think it's important that you can say it seriously and own it, not push it, and that's not your platform because people know you as, a happy go lucky, dedicated drummer, talented drummer. And it's like, sure,
mhm.
yes, you've had these items, but yeah, we're going, everybody's going through shit. But the fact that you can own it and still be in it, dedicated, and execute shows a great deal of strength. And I think that it is important that people do hear stories like yours, for example, or the items that you've been a part of, what you've experienced, how great it was, but you're still doing the things to stay on track. It's not like it deterred you and now you're like, fuck, I need to get a 9 to 5. It's like you're still focusing on your dreams. You're still
Mhm.
teaching lessons with drums. You're still doing these things so that you can keep the career that you're creating for yourself. And like that balance, I think, is super important because we're not all good. Our lives are not Instagram.
No.
It's everything. And, you know, I do
Yeah.
agree
And
with you. You don't want people just raining pity because it's not attractive to
yeah.
anybody. Like it is attractive to some people, sorry, but like as somebody who doesn't want it, it's not attractive, and it hurts. Like that's not what you desire. But it is good that you can create uh, that platform for somebody foundationally, mentally, where they can look at somebody like you. Let's say they want to be where you are, and they're like, "Wow, he's going through it too." Like, but he's still grinding and still crushing. Like,
Mhm.
I do think that saying your opinion in that is important. Not every day, all the time on all socials, but like that is an important mindset to understand.
Yeah, and obviously just being careful. Like even now, like I need to like sometimes chill out. Like I did this funny joke that I sent to a bunch of friends, and then they're like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." Like these are things that are happening to me, but I'm also just like jokingly making fun of it because I'm fine. Like
Right.
it um and just stuff like just stuff like that. I'm just like, okay, I should probably like chill because I feel like my friends are probably gonna like be like
Like,
give
yo,
me an
you all right?
intervention. Like, dude, you
Yeah,
are not okay, Kevin.
yeah.
Maybe I'm not. I don't know.
You seem fine. I don't
Yeah.
know. The fact that you can accept though that you're not all good is a good thing.
Oh yeah.
Like that is you're a step ahead of the game. We're
Hmm.
not all fine. This is some crazy fucking shit. We are used to doing. We're used to going out. We're used to playing shows. We're used to meeting and talking to people in person. This is the
Hmm.
craziest change that anybody in our lifetime has experienced. There's no doubt that everybody is experiencing at least somewhat of what you and me what we are experiencing.
Oh yeah, totally. And again, it's like the grand scheme of things. It's like, wow, I can't play shows. Meanwhile, like people are fucking dying. So it's like, and again, it's like in the grand scheme of things too. Like even with the entertainment industry and stuff, it is a huge reality. It's like, yeah, we are definitely the entertainment industry is not nearly as important as science and medical stuff. Like if we had to choose, I would definitely choose that over entertainment as well. It's still an important aspect for us to be able to like express ourselves as humans, but it also just kind of puts things into perspective what really matters more, which is definitely our health and relationships and that stuff versus blast beats.
As much as I agree with you though, I do believe that music is just as important as healthcare. And I don't care if anybody disagrees with me. Like we are born with foundational percussion and rhythm and melody. We listen for different sounds that we like. We don't like certain people because of how their voices sound. That is music, like
Damn,
to an extent. And
I'm getting served right now.
no,
Shit, where's my
no,
damn?
you're not at all. I agree with you. I'm agreeing with you. No, but just saying in general, like I 1,000% like yes, we need more doctors than musicians. But if there
Oh
are
yeah.
zero musicians, nobody is going to be sick or care or want to do anything because nobody's
Right.
going to feel anything. And if
Hmm.
there's no point, if you don't feel anything, what's the point in doing anything? Like when
Yeah.
you're depressed, you lay down and sleep, and that's all you do. When you're happy,
Yeah.
you're a social butterfly. It's like that
Hmm.
kind of goes hand in hand with, I feel like
Yeah.
most
I
people.
Okay. Now that you've given me perspective because you're older and wiser than me. um
Little older. I don't know what was. I don't know about that,
um
but
what was I gonna say? They all kind of what was I gonna say? Kind of like go hand in hand, but I guess like for us, it's like the entertainment industry is kind of like our whole world. So with the entertainment industry being shut down, we can kind of like take a step back and kind of see, oh, we're not the most important thing ever, as much as we think we are.
for
Some of
sure. I
us.
I mean, we
Um,
shouldn't think that.
no,
Like you should be important
but
to
we get.
yourself
I
and
mean, all of us get caught up in it. I mean, if
for
we're
sure.
passionate about it and stuff like that. But um, it's like I have as much fun geeking out and like showing my expressing my love and passion for music just as much as I can just to like make fun of it and shit on it at the same time. Just because for most people it's just not their interest. So it's fun to be able to also uh
Nice.
empathize with other people and know that like people consume music in different ways and be able to like I don't know. I guess just be more grounded and versatile when it comes with like hang out with different people that have different interests because for them it might be other things that they geek out over and it's important to be able to kind of um like I guess like be passionate about something, but also not take it too seriously.
Hmm.
Be able to mess around and joke about it.
I think that is an incredible thought process, and I definitely agree with you. Like, as you're saying, yeah, it's good to be balanced, and it's like stand-up comedians. Like they have a platform to say dark and weird shit, but that doesn't mean that we don't do that for either ourselves or for each other in order to make light of weird situations. You know?
Hmm. Yeah. Like I'm thinking of this one really funny example where at Towson I was taking an acting class. It was just like one of those cores. It was still a lot of fun, but for a final, me and this person, we had to do this dialogue where it was kind of like this romantic comedy thing, which was super funny. Um, and I just remember we had jazz music on the background, like, oh yeah, like I know jazz music now, like sort of thing. But like even then I was still again grounded in I definitely knew people that were like super into it where it's like if you don't listen to jazz then you're a pleb or a schmuck.
Right.
um and it's like like I need to hear that especially being in like that whole world that's just a bubble.
Right.
It's
For
not
sure.
like that. So I just remember this was just so funny because she was telling me like, all right, this music needs to stop. This like jazz music just pisses me off and it frustrates me and it gives me anxiety and like all these like funny things. And I'm just geeking out. I'm like, dude, I totally know where you're coming from. But like, and then I would just think about like, um, those people that are like jazzy snobs. It's like, how dare you say that about the music? It's like, no, that's hilarious.
Right. Like
And I agree, jazz also does give me anxiety with how fucking hard it is.
that's what she said.
Yeah, jazz anxiety. That sounds like a Eric Andre band name.
That is his stage band's name.
What is it?
No, I just like
Oh,
throwing sticks through your drum heads and kicking your cymbals down and shit.
uh-huh. Well, do you know what I'm talking about though? Have you seen his website of the? It it got taken down, but I think someone screenshot all of it, and it's somewhere saved in Reddit. But Eric Andre had a website where anytime he come up with a band name, he just put it on the website,
Yeah,
and they
yeah,
were just
I did see
really,
that. Yeah.
yeah. My favorite one was it was Alien versus Predator versus Brown versus the Board of Education.
That's pretty good. Yeah, it was like hundreds of names.
Oh yeah, it was
Okay, yeah,
great.
yeah, I did see that. Yeah, yeah. That was back like a couple years ago.
Hmm. Like Tiger Milf.
Dude, Eric Andre is next fucking level, dude. He's so I want to see a special with like him, Kyle Mooney, and Tim and Eric.
Oh my god.
Like that would just be the
And Sasha
most
Baron Cohen.
and Sasha, holy shit.
The he I feel like he's the king. Is Sasha.
Like not even Daniel Day-Lewis goes that deep, bro. You know? Holy shit.
Yeah. Borat 2 was probably one of my top 10 favorite comedy, whatever you call that, of film.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't see it. I
It
need to see it soon, bro. I saw the first one like within a year of it coming out.
Mhm.
It's been a long time since I've seen the first, but I definitely need to see the second.
Oh, it just with everything that was going on, it needed to be done.
Yeah, agree. Who else, other than like him or Dave Chappelle, who else could portray that
Oh
sort of
yeah,
opinion,
totally. Those two guys.
in
I
different
love
ways,
that.
but
Yeah, I love that Dave Chappelle. He doesn't even need to do comedy, and he all he has to do is just talk about
talk.
anything,
Yeah,
and then it's amazing.
agreed. Dude, he's a genius. Like
Oh yeah.
yeah, there are very few people in life that I've ever been starstruck about. And then once
Hmm.
that sort of faded, that I still have those feelings of like they're fucking, the top. Like if I
Oh,
want to chill with
exceptional
somebody,
people.
it would be like, Snoop Dogg, Dave
Hmm.
Chappelle,
Hmm. Guy Ferrari.
Guy Ferrari. Yeah.
Guy
Uh,
Fieri. I can't pronounce his name.
oh man,
The Hot
I
Ones
like
guy.
Ferrari.
I like the Hot Ones guy, Sean Evans.
Yeah, yeah, he's a cool dude. I like that show, man. That's fun.
Hmm. Lil Nas X,
Yeah,
dude, God bless
exactly.
him.
Agreed. Agreed.
I love him.
He's a funny dude. Did you see his
Yeah.
Super Bowl commercial?
Yes, and there is
The claymation?
Do you know Yvette Young?
No.
So she's in like the prog metal scene. She's similar to like Sean Polifia. She's just one of those amazing guitar gods like Plini or Intervals or Tosin Abasi from Animals as Leaders. She's definitely like one of those modern day like guitar legends. Um, but she was in that commercial, and I got super excited that
Oh,
she was in
snap.
it. I'm like, yo, she's in that prog band
That's
with
awesome.
Lil
Yeah.
Nas X.
I'm looking at her wiki to see if I recognize anything she's done. I unfortunately don't.
Mm.
But yeah, she's young, dude.
Yeah, she's crushing it.
Hell yeah.
Same with Lil Nas. Did you see so the more recent thing Lil Nas has been posting is I don't know what he did, but he just I think some like professional makeup practitioner person just gave him boobs. So that he's just been making so many funny videos with him with boobs. It's great.
What a dude, man.
Yeah, and actually right now he's doing because he I think he got like viral and like his career is successful through TikTok.
Yep.
So and he's still super active on there, and now he's doing like kind of giving his whole story of where he came from, and he's been through some. Even now, like it seems like he's been going through like so much like real shit that like I wouldn't hope anyone would have to go through.
Damn. Yeah, I
So
haven't
if
kept up
anyone
with it.
deserves that type of success
Like,
in
yeah, yeah.
music, it's that guy.
I mean, I don't understand as much. I don't really get why anybody at the top gets any hate, really. Because when you look into their careers, even Justin Bieber, that was handed his platform, still fucking worked every single day. He was a musician that practiced all the time. And once he was in that game, that's all he did. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, you know, Billie Eilish is a great example of somebody with a
Oh, same.
solid head on their shoulders, but you know, like her entire life was music. It's like you don't just start at the top because you're at the top, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
you have to work toward being that way. You know,
Oh
everybody
yeah,
does, no matter how young, no matter how quickly you get it. These people struggle, dude. It's like I
yeah.
never will understand that hatred toward people. It's like Bruno Mars, for
Uh,
example, is the best for me that I remember thinking like, fuck, I hate this. Like he's terrible. And then once he I forgot what it was.
Once you grow the fuck up.
Yeah, once I grew the fuck up, I was like, damn, he is I am an idiot. Like he is so talented.
Oh yeah,
He
he's the goat.
dude, and it's like that kind of perspective. It's like, damn, those people just want to hate, man. Like I have nothing but love for those people, and I could not, you know, I can't fathom the amount of stress that they deal with on an everyday basis. You know,
Oh
it's
yeah, for sure. There's a really good I think it was an interview with Bieber about his first time meeting Billie Eilish. I think it was at Coachella or something. It was really funny because Billie Eilish is a huge Justin Bieber
yeah, yeah.
fangirl. And I saw like James Corden was also there. Um,
She like
and
freaked out.
oh yeah, and they were hugging, and someone and there was this interview. And it was I didn't. You wouldn't think it would be super deep, but basically, someone said what was going through your head when you were like you met Billy and like you guys were hugging for the first time, and he said something along the lines of he definitely saw himself in sort of that moment being at that time a super young blowing up out of nowhere artist, and it was just one of those things where he was kind of like I like metaphorically like hugging her like I just like don't want her to go through the same things and make the same mistakes that I did. Like I want to protect her sort of thing, and I'm like, dude, that's so awesome. I love this kid. this kid, and I'm definitely a believer now.
And
Dude,
to that same effect with Miley Cyrus, like on her interviews, she says that she has like Dolly Parton and I can't believe Stevie Nicks on like speed dial, and like, you know, like her role models essentially are like talking to her, going out of their way to make sure that she's all right because they went through crazy shit and they don't want her to go through those same things in a new you know, adaptive industry. It's like, and especially now that they run it, but it's like I have nothing but respect for the people that want to help pave a positive way for the people doing it after them.
hmm
Yeah, man. I think I saw that interview actually
hmm
with Justin Bieber and how he felt in originally meeting Billie Eilish.
Yeah.
Cause you're a bad guy. Uh, I'm not funny, man. I don't know.
This is tough guy.
Yeah, so shit, bro.
I don't want to sing.
Well, yeah, that was the last thing that I want to ask you a little bit ago. Yeah, I think we're on
Mhm.
like about to be on 3 hours, and yeah,
Damn.
anything else you want to bring in or talk about or whatever? I'm still chilling, dude. Yeah.
Um, poo poo pee pee.
Poo poo pee pee. So yeah, just to let everybody know that all of the money made tonight will, in addition to, I'm gonna be donating $50 to Doctors Without Borders. So it will be, I think it was, yep, Bagel Gone Wild with the 11-month sub. Holy, my brother. My brother from the same mother. So it will be that 5 in addition to my 50. And yeah, that will be going to Doctors Without Borders. And next, on the 28th of this month, I will be speaking with TGT, Top Gun Tucker Lutz, who is a professional MMA fighter, also a homie that I grew up with. Very good dude. So that will be on February 28th at hopefully like same time, 7 to 7:30 p.m. We're gonna start. And pee pee poo poo. Do it.
Blink, blink, blink.
Hey.
Me go. Hey.
Me go. Word. Well, yo, Kevin, thank you so much for being here, dude. It's been a
Thank you for
pleasure.
having me.
Yeah, man, it's been a pleasure talking with you and hearing about your story from being a fucking dedicated ass kid who didn't even know if he wanted to play drums because he was playing the flute, and now he toured the country in a new band adapting to the pandemic, cohesive relationships, intelligent, good head on his shoulders, and you'll definitely be seeing more from this man here. Make sure to follow him on all social medias. You Facebook, Instagram, Twitter,
It's all at Kevin Goren.
at Kevin Goren. Oh man, what? Oh, it's because on my chat. Yeah, so how you see it under his name on the milk carton right here, those are his socials. He posts drum videos fucking often. He's a sick drummer, and if you need any drum lessons, you know exactly who to hit up. This man right here. Fuck yeah, dude. Well, feel free to pop out whenever. Thanks again for joining. And
Cool.
yeah, man, much love, bro.
Much love.
Cheers,
Poop
man.
and pee, baby.
Pee pee.
Pee pee poo poo.
Poo poo. Nice. Well, yeah, that concludes the 3rd episode of the Milk Carton Live with Kevin the drummer Goren. $55 total. I'm going to be donating to Doctors Without Borders.